Let's get started.
Here we go. Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar.
Welcome to the party.
And Simon.
What's going on?
What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons, and then we're going to give our opinions, talk about each guest in order, give talking points, this, that, and the next. But first, Kamar, how was your week?
Oh, Matty. I got to tell you, it's always a shock after the clocks go back
Yep.
and you feel like you lose the day. But that Tuesday morning, last Tuesday, I mean, it's funny to say because it's 20 degrees out, but I let the dog out and it was like February. You know what I mean? There's ice everywhere and snow, and I was just like, it broke my spirits.
But then this week it was 20 degrees all week.
Well, that's why it's, but I remember when I went to Costa Rica, when I left Costa Rica, it was plus 30. When I got back to Ottawa, it was minus 30. And that's the closest I've ever been to feeling like I wanted to kill myself to get out of the situation. But I'd also like to take my time to start a new tradition and welcome. First off, thank all the Patreons. You know we love you, and we want to welcome the new Patreons and upgrades. Zach Stadelman went from $4.20 to $5.
Thanks, Zach.
He put on his big boy pants, and
Well, he wasn't getting anything for $4.20, so.
And
You got a good laugh from us.
a positive, peaceful protest to the post Joe moving to the Patreon. Parker Scott added his pledge from $6 to $12. Thank you, Parker Scott. Parker Scott can't lose.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to
You're
Tim Riley.
You're not getting what he's saying.
No, I'm not at all. What is he saying?
That guy upped his pledge in hopes that we would move the post Joe back.
We're playing
for
hardball now.
free. He was like, I will give more money if you guys move the post Joe back.
Why?
We'll talk about it after. You can look at his message.
Okay.
We'll do it in the post Joe.
His whole thing was
Exclusively on the Patreon. And Tim Riley, welcome to the team, Tim. Called us fuckers. Listening at his supermarket job, I believe.
And welcome back, Chico.
Thank you, Tim.
And welcome back,
Did you
Chico.
say Tim?
Tim Riley.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
Or is it really? I don't know. Any other than that, it's nice that the weather's nice now, but that Tuesday was a fucking shocker. And of course, there was the election drawn out
Ongoing.
as we thought it would be.
Yeah, it's just, we need to, come on, immediate winner. That's what you need.
Well, we'll get into it with the end of the world, but it is just bizarro world, man. We knew this was going to happen, so it's not a surprise, but just the way people are acting, I think people are upset that they can't shit on Trump anymore if he does concede and goes away. But we'll talk about it because it's riddled throughout all the podcasts this week.
Simon, how was your week?
Week was all right. I'm just so, it's, you know how he's saying minus 30 plus 30? That's what this week of Rogan was like. Like last week, he gave us as close as he could to a perfect week, and this week he did the exact opposite.
I think part of it was the delay. Like I felt like I knew more than, well, I did sort of know more as the episodes were coming out, what they were talking about.
But like, take out the End of the World podcast because really it doesn't have a number. I mean, we're going to do it, but it doesn't have a number. Wasn't a real episode. So this week was...
Rinella and Mike Baker.
Yeah, man. This might be the worst week of all time.
Well,
At least he had an MMA again, though.
I have to say,
Again, not included in like...
I get it. I'm just saying it was nice as a listener to at least know that he hadn't abandoned the MMAs.
the MMA was somewhat interesting. And I had my racist moment for the week because I thought that guy was black.
I don't think
From
that makes
listening
you
to him?
racist.
Just when I heard him, I thought he was black, and then I turned on and goes, oh my God, he's white. I don't know if it makes you racist, but I just call it my racist moment. How was your week, man?
Oh, whatever. It was fine. Like you said, not looking forward to winter. And I don't know. I'm not really, I don't know. This fucking COVID shit, I'm done with it.
Splendid.
Election's fucking stupid.
It's like those people forgot that we're in a pandemic.
Which people?
All the people cheering in the streets like there's some sort of relief or something.
Well, I think those are the dumbest people. Nothing's going to change.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I don't know what they're excited. I mean, ding dong, the witch is dead. They got rid of the big bad orange man, but it's not like...
If nothing's going to change, then fucking get rid of him. If it's just going to make people feel better, fuck, you know what I mean?
Oh, I can agree with that.
And if Joe Biden won, who knows if he did, but if he did, congratulations to him, and everybody needs to shut the fuck up.
Congratulations to him.
Trump needs to go away, start his fucking news network.
But I suspect in 6 months... everyone's going to be back upset about what they're upset about and not be able to blame Donald Trump anymore and sort of be lost at who's the fall guy now. You can't pick on old Joe.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it was gross that Donald Trump was telling them to stop counting votes.
And start counting in other places. Someone said it was like from an episode of Veep.
Yeah, I mean, it was, that's the most heinous thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a sitting president tell them to stop counting votes. It's the most anti-democratic thing I've ever heard.
And that will make a civil war if, on the outside chance, if it turns around and he ends up being president. Like,
I think it's interesting that at first he was pissed and he was talking about Georgia and Arizona and Pennsylvania. And then you could tell that someone got in his ear and was like, Arizona and Georgia are Republican states with Republican governors and Republican state assemblies.
Well, that's the only thing that's weird about this is Joe Biden won, but the Democrats lost.
Yeah, they lost the House.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. The only explanation is people just want to get rid of Donald Trump. They're not actually happy with the Democrats. They just want to get rid of Donald Trump.
Either way, who gives a fucking shit? This has nothing to do with how my week was. Fuck these assholes.
No, but it's the whole next episode, so get ready.
Can we run down the thing and start then?
Thanks for asking, Matt. So we start off with the End of the World podcast song, Alex Jones.
There's no way, I don't think he would have agreed to do it.
Who?
What's his face?
Kyle Kalinske?
Correct. That's not good for his brand.
Because he can't get a word in edgewise.
It wouldn't have been good for his brand. Tim would have done it for sure, but...
So we start off with the End of the World podcast. Then we had 1559, Steve Rinella, back in the high life again. And then Rambling Mike Faker, 1560.
When Mike Baker's the best episode of the week, you know you just have a fucking serious problem.
Well, I don't know. In that episode, Joe was talking to a governor or something.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's coming down the pike.
Or was that just him going out to dinner with the governor?
What's going on?
Well, the governor was telling him not to fucking bring his liberal shit to Texas.
With a good reason.
It was like a Matthew McConaughey sit down.
Well, it sort of feels like, remember Homer Simpson when he's sitting on his porch?
Keep
No,
on
it's Krusty
driving.
and the trampoline. I think that's how they feel. It's our way or the highway. But in any event, I do think it was a better podcast without Alex Jones. The problem with the End of the World podcast is there was no decision made. I think Joe pushed it late enough so that hopefully there would have been a result. But it sort of became a nothing burger in that we were left wondering. And there was many going on. Doug Stanhope did one.
I don't think I like Kyle Kalinske.
Either way, hold on. Can you get into the other two episodes so we can rate the week and then we'll talk about this episode?
Sure.
Can we
Fair
at least
point.
run this like a normal, just out of curiosity? We can do it your way if you want. I don't really care, to be honest.
No, like it says, Steve Rinella, 1559.
Yeah. And then,
And Mike Faker, he said it, yeah.
Rambling.
okay,
Mike
well then
Faker,
let's
1560.
rate the week and then we can get into the End of the World.
That's a tough question. I'm going to rate the week a 3. 3 Jamie Vernons.
I'll rate it a 1.
Sorry, do we include the end of the world in the rating?
Well, if we're going to do it, you include it. Because you're going to rate it.
And that's how I came to my decision.
I give it a 1.5. No, I don't even know anymore. My math is terrible. Maybe a 2.
It's funny because the Kanye week I gave like a 4 for no good reason at all.
Cracking people up. But it's like it always better if someone knew.
2.5s and a 2, Matt. What's that rating?
It's a 1.
That's a 1.
A 1. Good.
A solid one.
Math makes sense.
Okay, well, there we go. We've all rated it. Now we can get into it. End of the World podcast. Kyle Kalinske, Tim Dillon, and Joe Rogan. First of all, if you're holding it up against the first End of the World podcast,
It's a 0.
oh my God, the discrepancy is insane.
But that's because they had a decision. I mean, that's what I was getting at. If there had been a result, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, then we go into speculation on what's going to happen now.
Either way, I would have preferred what he did 4 years ago. And that shows you the shift in Joe Rogan's podcast. 4 years ago, he would have had, I mean, obviously not Brian Callen, but you know what I mean? He would have had 3 comedians on. They would have gotten drunk and smoked weed, and they would have shot the shit.
In his defense, though, this was, if there was no COVID, he may still be in LA. He may have done it at the Comedy Store, and it would have been a shit show, or a shit show in a positive way. You know what I mean? In his defense, but to compare this one to the last one is not fair, and I suspect that he'll never do this again.
I mean, first of all, they can only come around every 4 years. So.
And it has to be an end of the world. So if it's not like Trump running again, maybe
Well,
if Kanye runs.
Well,
then
that's
it'll
what's
be
interesting is that
end of the world.
if Trump concedes, it's conceivable, as we know in the last episode, they put money on it that he will run again.
I heard that right now, according to Liberty, the Liberty Group, whatever the fuck, who knows, probably some paid group, that Tucker Carlson is leading the GOP nomination for 2024.
Back to my conspiracy of Donald Trump starting a network. That would be great for him. He would step back for 2 years, start his news network, then run for president again and have his own
Platform.
soapbox.
My one suspect is that he doesn't want to give up the office because he's going to go to jail.
For tax evasion?
I don't know, but a lot of people don't like him, and I don't think it's enough for him to just make fun of him and belittle him for losing. Some people want him to go down, and maybe I don't know why, but that would make sense. So the episode started off with catered by McDonald's.
Yeah, that was odd.
Sort of blue collar.
And Joe eats Filet-O-Fish, which I'll just never.
That's Joe. If he's going to eat McDonald's, he's going to eat the most
If
fucking
you're gonna
wackadoo
eat
thing on the menu.
McDonald's, just go for the fucking eat the burger. You know,
Have you ever had a filet fish?
maybe once in my life.
They always come out too hot.
And their tartar sauce is disgusting.
Their tartar sauce is disgusting.
Why would you eat fish from McDonald's?
Why
Why
would
would
you
you
eat
eat
fi-
anything from McDonald's?
Why would you eat fish from McDonald's?
Sometimes you just want a fish cake.
It's not a fish place. It's a fucking burger place.
I only get filet of fish when I'm rolling.
Lucky I'm even eating their chicken.
I would never get just a filet of fish. I'd get filet of fish on the side with something else.
Listen, when I have a
It's
big when I
appetizer.
have
You
a Big Mac,
disgust me.
when I have a Big Mac at its best, I think to myself, this is not meat. So there's no like I don't know, fish. Oof.
Have you guys ever had the quarter pounder BLT?
Quarter pounder BLT.
So it's just a quarter pounder with bacon.
Bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
You cannot eat the tomatoes from McDonald's unless you want some sort of ailment.
It's my personal fave.
Well, watch your ass next time. Keep a journal.
Oh, what happens?
Something happens to your anus when you eat
on the other end.
tomatoes from McDonald's.
Remember when they had the styrofoam
That's what I'm talking. These people think the planet's bad now.
clamshell things?
Yep.
That was the best.
That's also when a Big Mac was like $1.50.
Not for the planet. And there was a time, and you had 40 cashiers, not 40, but 16 and lines, and the world's changed. But I just thought it was really blue collar of them to have McDonald's.
Well, how many cashiers do they have now?
Two
Really?
and the giant iPhones.
Now that I think about it, actually, it's very un-Texan of Joe. They should have gotten Whataburger.
Whataburger or some barbecue, but then
Well, no, Whataburger is that's like the Texas In-N-Out. That's like what everyone in Texas is like. If you want the best burger in the world, it's Whataburger.
wouldn't it be horrible if it's a paid plant by McDonald's?
Well, we know they wouldn't because of what happened to your mom's house.
Oh, they're just dumb luck that they used them. I mean, it is a promo, obviously, from in a weird way, but endorsement. But they don't want McDonald's to be associated with anything. Now, if Alex Jones was on,
That is weird, though. It is. It's very odd.
Well, no, I think,
haven't
hold on.
given it any thought until right at this second.
Listen, it's still Joe's podcast. It still is what it is. I'm not going that far as to be like McDonald's sponsored this one. I'm sure they were hungry, and Joe occasionally
but
eats.
to your point, why would not get Whataburger?
And why not take the bag off the table? Just have the burger.
Or
Well, because
eat
you're going
right
to see it
before?
anyway. I mean, again, like we don't think about it like, is this an Aquafina plug? Is this a Coke? You know what I mean? We leave
You're
that shit on
welcome.
the table all the time, and we're definitely not getting paid by these companies.
No,
We just,
but we're fucking guys who do our thing out of a garage. You know what I mean? Joe
get it.
is Joe.
Mark Maron does his out of a garage in defense of garage podcasts.
I mean, yeah, in a garage at like a fucking $20 million house.
No, he's not rolling that well.
Mark Maron?
He's doing
Mark
okay.
Maron's loaded. Pull up value right now. What do you think he's worth?
I bet he's worth a bunch, but I doubt. Hold on, I bet he lives a meager lifestyle.
I think he's worth 15 million.
Fine, but you're forgetting too that he lives in Los Angeles, and that 15 million doesn't go as far as you might think. You're buying a $1 million home at that point, right?
Oh, at least.
But not more.
No. Well,
And you're forgetting Mark Maron almost like killed himself and his career. So I think he's one of those guys that's like, this could all end at any moment. What's he
Well,
worth?
when he started his podcast, he
I might
was at the
even
bottom.
say 25 million.
According to the interweb, he's worth $4 million.
So he might not even have $1 million home.
I think all homes in LA are $1 million, isn't it? One of those situations now.
Depends where you live. You might live in outside. LA's a big fucking place. Like Venice, you're definitely paying $1 million for sure. More.
$20 million. Oh, yeah, I thought that was way too reaching.
Beverly Hills, you're paying a fucking shit ton of
$50
money.
million.
Yeah, that's like for like a 1-bedroom condo.
I was thinking, watching this one, I wouldn't mind if Tim Dillon was just there all the time as like a sidekick, because he's just constantly going for kill shots.
And I like that he's willing to go where Joe isn't willing to go, and he doesn't have to apologize. Whereas Joe has to. Have you noticed that Joe always says, "I'm not serious, guy"? Like he has to say that now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
He's very worried about.
it was the Melania double one. That was the one that really
It
stood
happened
out.
a bunch of times, but yeah, the Melania double one. Like, we get it, Joe. It was a joke. Anybody who's listening who didn't think that was a joke is a fucking asshole, and don't worry about it, you know?
I wonder
Hold
how
on,
many-
though. It's tough when you have Alex Jones on 2 days before, 3 days before, and then you say something like Melania's a double, which is totally something that would come out of Alex Jones's mouth. So I get why he would want to
Okay,
say,
even better yet. So who fucking cares that you think that Melania is a double? You're Joe Rogan. You're a fucking comedian. Like, if we're not...
yeah, but we'll get
What,
to that.
what are we doing here?
We'll get to that in the Rinella podcast. I
What are
think.
we doing here?
Yeah, but when you have-
we're a podcast about a podcast. Nothing's off the table.
I don't know. I just think that when Joe has certain guests on, it's tough to then be like, he's just a comedian interviewing people. Like, I don't know. Sometimes he talks about some serious shit and it influences stuff and people.
But it's like, who is he apologizing to? You know what I mean? Like anyone who's a fan. Like, is it? How many
what is he
hate
worried?
listeners
What's
do
he
you think
worried
has?
about? Listen, he did that apology about the
trying to make
forest
money.
fires on his own.
Yeah.
He said it. He said, nobody came to me. There wasn't any reason I had to do that. I just did it. And since that point, he's been apologizing for everything. He's been making sure that he can't be taken out of context. And that's crazy. Like he said, he does 4 episodes a week. If somebody wants to like take you out of context,
And he
they're
says
gonna do
crazy
it.
shit all the time.
And he says they're comedians. They're like, listen, half the time when we're sitting around, like the more somebody starts laughing, the crazier your ideas get. That's just the way it works, you know?
Well, Joe, if you're listening, you don't have to apologize for anything. Just you do you. Yeah. Now, Kyle Kalinski's podcast is called Secular Talk, but I think it should be more called Circular Talk because he just keeps doing the same points. You know what I mean? He's like a Jimmy Dore light.
I love Jimmy Dore. I've been watching his.
He's fantastic.
His shit. He's amazing.
He's even done the Tim Pool thing though.
He's gone too far to the other side?
Well, no. At the beginning, he was like, fuck Trump, fuck them. But the DNC or the Democratic Party, whatever, has pushed him so far that he has to now support Trump.
Interesting, yeah.
And it's an interesting swing. But like, I don't... Obviously, Kyle Kalinski knows something because it played out exactly like he said it was going to a T. And you felt like Joe and Tim were both like, yeah, but Trump's going to win. Like, not saying outright, but I mean, we all sat here and said he's going to win. Everyone thought he was going to win. And Kyle, to his credit, stuck to his guns. Was like, no. How stupid is that, though, that they say we cannot count any of the ballots till... Well, there's some states.
There's laws, yes, that say you can't start counting until X amount of,
But there's other states where you could. Or you can at least open them and get them ready to process.
Well, I think it's kind of ridiculous that election isn't run federally, that it's state by state.
Well,
that seems
so
almost
you can have
insane
so
to
many
my
inconsistencies.
That's what I'm saying. That's why Oregon has mailed in ballots for the last 15 years, and other states are just up in arms about the idea of... Did you know that there's certain states where it's illegal to pump your own gas?
New Jersey.
Just to keep that business in business?
I don't know what it is. But like, here's one.
See, that's a good...
There was a state where they recently in the last like 2-3 years changed the law, and people were up in arms. They were like, "What? I'm going to get out and pump my own fucking..." Like it was. They were like, "It's so dangerous," and I was like, everyone pumps their own gas. It seems, but yeah.
That's coming from like Florida, where every third car drives away with the nozzle in the fucking gas tank.
Even then, when
It's
you go
like
to
Zoolander,
when
they're
you go to-
constantly having fucking fights. And sorry,
when you go to the States, there's nothing. There's also nothing stopping you from just like overfilling the shit out of your tank.
What do you mean?
Well, like here, like the thing will stop, right?
what do you mean?
When the gas touches
Yes.
the nozzle or whatever?
Yeah. Like you can't just sit there and pump. I mean, I guess you could, but the thing keeps stopping you, right?
So we couldn't Zoolander fight. Is that what you're saying?
No, I believe you could.
We'd
You
have to
could
try.
Zoolander fight.
I've never tried to overfill. Like it's gotten a little bit over, obviously, because it's overflown a bit, right?
Well, have you done that? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I
don't think you
I can't
have.
even fucking remember. But I can remember like gas getting on my hands for some reason. So
Like in the States, for example, when you go to
Sloppy
fill
pumper.
when you go to fill gas, there's a little thing you can flip up that just holds the handle.
yeah, some of them have it here. It's amazing.
I think they took those out in Canada.
yeah,
They did, that's what I'm
because
saying.
there were too many idiots who were overfilling. I'm wondering what
They
he's
would do that
talking
so they
about,
could light a
though.
smoke while they're
Do you know
filling
what
up
I
their car.
mean? So they took that away because people were overfilling their
No, because now there's an automated thing, I'm pretty sure, in the nozzle that
like a sensor of some
that's
sort.
what I believe. Am I wrong?
I feel like
I think that's what it is. I think when the liquid hits the liquid in the tank, it goes right and shuts down.
Right, like I said, I can't remember. And if I ever did overfill my tank, it would have been when I started driving. They probably didn't have the sensors back then.
Hey man, America's a free country. You
I agree. Yeah, you can't fuck with
stop me
freedom.
from overfilling your car. Like my rights are my rights. the interesting thing about this podcast is the big topic was the what is it called? The Envirophone.
Oh yeah, the
The good. I wish I'd written it down.
I listened to this today, so I should
It's
have
like
it.
the karma phone.
The
or
karma,
something?
the good karma phone, and Joe keeps asking the ether if people would change over, if it would make them feel better about it, and my answer is no.
Well, maybe if he called it like the Joe Rogan walkie-talkie.
I don't think it's the branding. I think if they raise minimum wage to $20, then that could be a conversation.
I think if he talked to someone from Apple, they would give him the harsh news that they were like, an iPhone, the way you want it made, would cost $9,000
Well, yeah,
a piece.
he thought it was $1,000 as opposed to $800, and there's no way.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm
Well,
like,
sorry.
if they stabilize the Congo for coltan and start paying everyone at that fucking iPhone factory real money, an iPhone's going to cost, no joke, $5,000. Probably more. Sorry.
If you said to, let's say, Microsoft, not to pick on Bill Gates, but whatever, if you said to Microsoft, you can put your software right away into everybody's phone, then they would pay for all those phones. Just kind of like they do in China or wherever, right? Where they own the internet. If you let them own the internet, then they're going to pay for everything.
I think the first thing is the phone would have to be made in North America. And then it's what, to Matt's point, the sourcing of all the minerals and
Keep in mind though, there's
ingredients.
You're forgetting there's a lot of, this is a weird thing that Apple makes a lot of the components in the States because they're proprietary and they don't want China to know how they're made.
And then they send them over for
ship them
assembly.
over to China for assembly, which I find super fucking weird.
That's funny.
Like the glass, for example, which breaks. I don't know why they call it indestructible, but like that's made in the States, I believe. And then they ship that glass to China and then it's assembled there. Now, I'm sure they reverse engineer.
You know where they probably have like unlimited of the minerals or whatever the fuck it is they need to make the phones?
Coltan.
I don't know what coltan is.
That's
That's what
the
they
mineral
need.
they need to make the phones.
You know where they probably have that?
Where?
In the asteroids, man. I'm being
Maybe.
totally
I don't know. Maybe you're
serious.
right, yeah.
I'm being
That-
totally serious.
But the karma-free phone or karma phone is not just the working conditions in China. It's the Congo. It's bigger than
yeah, and you don't have to worry about that on the asteroids, man.
that would be a huge solution.
It's way bigger in the Congo. You can talk about China all you want. Those people are at least
And fuck the Chinese anyways, right? Am I right?
sure.
But someone has to talk to Joe and just tell him that it would be a $9,000 phone, just to put it at rest, because he brought it up, beat it to a dead horse, came back and I hate to beat a dead horse, but I just wonder about this phone if it could be done.
Okay, let's just back up for 2 secs, okay? And I know Matt's going to disagree because he loves the camera, but you own a camera, right?
Yeah, I have a.
So you have a nice camera, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with like iPhone 7 software and an iPhone 7 camera? There's nothing fucking wrong with it, man. We have jumped
good
so
enough.
quickly to where we are right now in order to get a 25, I don't know, millipixel camera into a shell that should only hold 4 millipixel, whatever the fuck. Like, I don't know. We could do that. They could do that. They could figure out a way to do that, and everything could be done here. Or
At what price?
Well, no, but again, see, the coltan is the issue because 98% of the world's coltan is in the Congo.
yeah, coltan sounds like a agent from G.I. Joe.
It was Zoltan. It was Zoltan.
Yeah, fine. Asteroids, though. I'm going to stick with the asteroids because
maybe you're
they
right.
are so close to mining asteroids right now.
Are they?
Yes, Kamar. I think definitely, like, what is the year now? 2020?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you by 2025 they're mining asteroids, like, efficiently.
So
Simon
they're
the Sea Setter
landing.
here.
There's landing something on an asteroid with mining equipment,
Correct.
extracting minerals, and
Correct.
sending that back to
That
Earth.
is correct. So basically what they do, Kamar, is they send in the shuttle instead of a landing pod that lands, which is actually very hard. It's a drill that just goes right in. And then I don't know exactly how they get it back, but
And
You're
you
not
think
an
we're-
engineer. You just play one on this podcast.
trust them
And
that
you,
they'll figure it
and
out.
you think we're so close to this because they've been on the moon for years now, mining and
Because we need
building
an
bases.
iPhone 27, man.
I was revisiting. Someone was playing the phone call between Nixon and the astronauts, which I wish I used in my moon debate. Have you heard it?
Remind me.
Well, I just want to say how proud we are of all you. This is the president on a landline
Yeah, they're in the room next door.
that bounced from, I think it was to Hawaii, to Australia, to a satellite to the moon.
Okay.
But Nixon's like, well, we just want to say on behalf of the American people, how proud we are of all you. And immediately he's like, well, thank you, Mr. President. Like, it's just unbelievable. It's no delay. No delay whatsoever.
But can I ask you, do you not think maybe they pre-recorded it and then edited out the delay? Just to make it listenable?
That explains everything, but they were implying it was live.
Like
Gotcha.
they're on the moon. They're on the moon.
240,000
And
kilometers
you're-
away.
And what
Or
your
maybe miles.
problem is the phone connection?
Well, yeah, what he's saying, I get what he's saying. He's saying it's
get it.
2020 and half the calls on like
I got it.
news networks that have millions of dollars have a delay.
On a landline.
I'm just saying it would make more sense to me that they edited out, that it was not live. I mean, we know that they've used propaganda because they couldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it occurred to me that I should have used that.
You know what, Kamar?
There's probably a lot you could
I
have
was
used in the
thinking of
debate.
doing
Definitely.
this. I was thinking of making the first episode of, which I have to record, by the way, of
well aware.
Simon's Conspiracy Corner, just to open it up, was going to be the moon debate revisited, where I was just going to point out all the things about the moon debate that you should have brought up. But maybe you want to be my first guest on the show,
Are you going to have guests?
just to round it all out, you know?
You have something in your mouth right now?
No, that would be totally unprofessional.
You, me, and Graham Hancock. A little box going, why am I here? I wish he had done that.
Think about it.
We could do two things. We could either A, hit him up via Skype. You never know.
I really think it's attainable.
Would you be ready for that?
Well, yeah, I'd need warning.
Okay.
Oh, no, we wouldn't
like
say,
it sprung
surprise,
on
Simon, here's Graham. This is your life.
Yeah, and then I guess the second thing would be I could just don like a Graham Hancock outfit and just sit here and
Oh,
I'm sure you could do the
bait and
accent.
switch. He's done it. People love it.
Anywho, okay, sorry. Go on, Kamar.
My one criticism of Kyle, well,
You're one.
he's a bit of a bit Killer Jones. I found he was like posting stuff, and then Joe and Tim would start riffing on it and be like, well, actually, Joe, we're like, shut up, Kyle.
He has no sense of humor.
Listen, anyone that wears
I
a
don't believe
suit
that.
all the time, I don't.
Well, he's young.
Yeah, I know.
They
He's
were
just trying to build
making
his brand.
jokes that he either didn't understand or he was like unaware. I don't know. It was weird, man.
I just felt like he was trying to control the podcast. Mm-hmm. Maybe for his brand,
For
maybe
his
for dominance,
for
whatever.
his audience,
For his audiences.
because he was just replaying the same podcast as his podcast.
I mean,
right?
maybe he felt slighted too.
Like a simulcast. Slighted.
That Alex Jones was going to come on. Sorry.
Well,
I
and
don't
that
mean
Tim
to
was there.
touch you. No, I think he always knew Tim was.
Maybe
gonna
not.
be there.
Again, maybe because they were talking. They were saying it was in talks for a long time, and then maybe Joe at the
Yeah.
last minute was like, "Hey, listen, I'm going to bring Tim Dillon in on this too." And Kyle was like, "Oh, okay."
My theory is this: that they were going to do like a legitimate, maybe 5 guys on there, and then Alex Jones was going to be one of them, and then Kalinske was probably said to Joe, "Look, if Alex does this, I can't do it. You know, I don't mean to be a big bitch, but it's just not. I can't do it for my thing." And
You're
then
also
Joe
not
had
gonna-
to make a decision. You know,
No one's going to get a word in edgewise if there's 5 people at that table and one of them's Alex Jones.
And they're drinking. Because Sober October was over.
right? Yeah,
It would be that would have been a problem podcast.
that would have been.
And 4 hours.
And Kalinske would have felt like he needed to debate every point that came out of Alex's mouth because he wouldn't have been doing his duty if he didn't. It just wouldn't have been good.
And Tim Dillon's there, who's going to side with Alex Jones on you know what I mean? It's just an unfair balance of power. And
I mean, in the comment section, a lot of people are like, where's Alex? Where's Alex? But I think it worked out for the best. But it was a failure because there was no result. But it was a success for Kyle because everything worked out exactly how he said it was going to work out.
I think Alex Jones once every 6 months is just a soupçon, just a dauble of Alex Jones every once in a while. You don't need him. I don't think he needs to be there once a month.
No, and like I said, the podcast before we were talking about the Greys, the aliens, the really far out stuff. I get more of a kick out, but they did mention enough. Hillary smells like sulfur because the fly landed on her when they talk about Rachel Maddow and Kamala Harris. Like, this is what I want to know. The election stands, Biden, Kamala, congratulations. What are all those news things going to do?
It's not going to stand. You've given up that quickly? Is it January? Did I miss something?
Given
It's
up.
22 degrees outside.
I fret the idea of it being reversed.
Yeah, if Trump wins now on a technicality, you might just burn it all.
Burn it all.
down.
Like
Buckle up.
He can't, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it turned out the way it turned out. If they cheated to do it, good on them, because I'm sure the Republicans would have tried to cheat the other way around.
don't
if
know
they
about
could
that.
have. And
Hold on. You don't know about that. He was saying stop counting the votes.
no, I'm saying if it came out that they cheated, that they produced 3 million votes.
yeah, that might be a
Impossible.
problem.
Impossible.
Nothing is
Diablo
impossible.
Avocado. I'm just saying he just said, well, if they did that, then good on him. And I'm like, no, I think you got to draw the line there. I don't want it to be reversed. Like,
I just mean good on them because I think to try and reverse it at this point, they're just waiting for a reason to to do it.
Gasoline on a fire.
This has now given you 4 years of hopefully some calm.
Let me just say this. 2 weeks ago, I watched Trump's head attorney walk into a room with what can only be described as an underage girl. I'm not too worried.
But you didn't watch him delivering a press conference in front of a feed and seed between like a porn shop and a mortuary.
What are you talking about?
You've got to see the press conference. And
Who did? Giulietti?
Yes. And they're all yelling at him. Goes, did you hear that they just what is it called? Endorse Joe Biden. He goes, who said that? And they go, the news. He goes, oh, the news. Oh, the news. Like, it's out of control. So I don't put whatever. It is going to get a lot more boring without them.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
If it was a thing where, like, let's say it was a super, super, super close race. Like, I know
It is.
it is, but it's okay. Yeah, I guess.
Well, am I wrong? I don't know. It seemed like a close race. I guess from electoral vote, if he won 270 to 214, that's not that close.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's 3 million votes or something, or maybe it's 4 now, or who knows? They keep coming up with ballots. It could be up to 6 million, but they're just saying weird things like Joe Biden has won more than Obama won. Anyways, I hope it stays like this because it is just going to be a mess, and I don't want to have to defend Trump anymore.
Let's say the left, though, because the left owns all the news networks. If they just decide, if it was really close and they just decided, you know what, we're calling it. We're the news, we're calling it. And then they call it for Biden, let's say, and then he didn't really win. But then when Trump tries to let's say he really does win, they've already called it for the other side, then it makes it look like he's robbing it anyways. I don't know.
Hold on, but Fox News called Fox
They
News.
were the first, yeah.
So that's a tough sell for me.
Yeah, okay. I didn't say it happened. I just said that could possibly happen.
If
okay.
he legitimately won, it's for the best. And Trump just go away, and you're just going to see all these news stations have been bashing him for the last 4 years, have nothing to cover, and they're going to go down too with him. But
well, I disagree with that. Let me ask you though,
think
how
they're
did
going to
those?
hold Joe Biden's feet to the fire?
Well, no, but let me ask you. Like, there was 8 years of Obama, so how did they survive through that? Like, you would have argued that the same way, right? What are they going to do now that Bush is gone? They survived through 8 years of Obama. So I'm just curious.
think they were criticizing the Republican because the Republican Party is not going to let Biden do anything. So now their thing is just to be focused on Mitch McConnell and all these guys. The one thing that pissed me off about this election is that Nancy Pelosi won. She's just gross. I don't care what you say.
I'm not going to defend Nancy Pelosi.
Did you feel sorry for Kyle Kalinske when he complained about going from 60,000 subscribers a month to 6,000 a month?
No, I know what that's like.
To get 6,000 subscribers in a month?
You know what it's like to be shadow banned, though, Kamar.
Well, we are shadow banned.
I know. That's
We're the
what I'm
little guy.
saying.
Kyle's doing fine.
We're not shadow banned. We're buried under the largest podcast in the
Shadow
world.
banned.
Okay.
We are shadow banned.
Yeah, shadow man. If you want to fight the man, then tell all your friends about this podcast.
And
I guess I won't argue that.
would you agree the reaction from the public so far, it seems, is a lot more tempered on the right from this loss than, albeit most of them probably think that this isn't over and we've only just begun compared to, sorry, Simon, compared to the left's reaction when Trump won. Like people crying in the streets and
But
freaking
crying
out.
in the streets, who gives a shit?
I think it's just because they think there's still a chance. That's the difference. Last time it was just so clear cut, right? Like she wasn't arguing, she lost.
I suggest, though, even when it eventually comes out, Trump loses, Biden becomes president, you're just not going to have people crying in the streets, people marching on Washington. I could be wrong.
Well,
But
I mean, first of all, it's a long march from the middle of America to Washington. So it's a much shorter walk when you live down the street.
But you
Just
remember
saying.
all those women with their pussy hats.
Of course, there were that one woman who was like crying.
Just
That
all
was
that
the best
stuff.
meme
All
ever.
that
That's
stuff is-
one of my favorite
Did
photos.
you guys watch Saturday Night Live?
I didn't.
I've taped it.
Guilty.
So that was just a big fucking circle jerk because obviously they got what they wanted. But Chappelle, his opening monologue is like 14 minutes. So it's like literally
A small stand-up.
15 minutes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Perfect.
It's great. His opening
he's always
monologue is
incredible.
great.
Yeah, he's a calming voice.
But what are they going to do now? Like, they're literally the weekend update for 3 years has been bashing Trump. That is it.
This is what I've been asking you for the last 10 minutes.
But again, I ask you, like, you're talking about Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live?
Just as a microcosm. To
Okay,
what
but as a
Kamar-
Weekend
microcosm.
Update.
Hold on.
Colbert.
Okay.
Corden.
As-
Seth Meyers.
As a microcosm, the Weekend Update has been going strong for 30 years before Trump. So what is your argument that they're just out of material now? There's a million things to talk about and joke about and poke fun at always.
I guess we're going to find out.
We're
That's
gonna-
like being
we're
like
gonna find
that's like
out.
being like, what are stand-up comedians going to do now? I mean,
Well,
no,
a
but some
lot
of them
people are
for
saying that.
some
Nah,
of
we
the
know it's
weak
bullshit.
ones are going to be hard pressed now because they
Great.
have to write real. Yes, and Saturday Night Live, which I don't think is the pinnacle of comedy anymore, I think is going to find itself in the same position. They've based a lot of their fucking thing on.
I think a lot of people who've been shitting on Trump are going to miss him. Did you?
you're also forgetting. Hold on, you're also forgetting that you liked Saturday Night Live when you were young, and it was young writers. It's still young writers, and now you're old.
Yeah, like I said last week, it only appeals to you 18 to 24. That's when it's going or appealing to your sensibilities. That's
I read some numbers about Joe Rogan that shocked me this week. 70% of his base are males that are high school aged, or between like high school and 23.
So that debate we had a couple weeks ago that we thought it was an older audience.
Not at all.
Interesting.
That probably makes sense.
Well, they're looking for identity.
I just
But
found that very
what I
interesting.
want to ask you, I asked you to watch that Sarah Cooper special.
I watched the Comedy Store special this week.
Good for you.
Well, wasn't I supposed to watch that? I forgot that I asked you to send me the link. You were talking about the chick.
Fuck that, Sarah.
You were talking about
Did you watch it all?
No, I refuse.
But
man.
anyways,
You were talking about. You just told me to watch some of it though. You're talking about the chick that
Just-
got the
just-
show from. I'll watch it
yeah.
tonight. Please
Watch
remind me though.
5 minutes
but
of it. Maybe.
if you can, I'm just saying, as an artist, where's she gonna go? Like her whole thing is just shitting on Trump.
But that's perfect. Someone like that should have no lane anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's
The
my
market
point.
will work itself out for those. I mean, it's not like I keep in mind. I never sat here and said like that chick was funny or
Oh no, I never thought you did. She is a prime example of the cottage industry that has propped up shitting on Trump. Thought bubbles. Everyone, you're speaking my language. You shit on Trump. I love you. Like they're all gone. I think they're gonna miss it. I really do.
Well, I don't know if you saw this, but one of the head writers for Fallon, sorry, real quick, left this week. And she was like, I'm done writing Trump jokes. And not for the reasons that you'd think. She was just like, I think writing all these shitty jokes about him just gives him power. And that's all we do here. So she was like, I'm leaving.
Well, just like the media covering all his tweets just gave him publicity.
Yeah. Sorry, Simon, go ahead.
No, I was just like, he is going to start a news network. He's going to put himself on that news network. Maybe he'll even bring like a guy like Tucker Carlson over and they'll do a show together. And anytime he has a problem with what the other side is doing, he's just going to get on there. He's going to yammer on, and then they'll be able to talk about him talking about them, and it'll never stop. This has become like, now that I'm rethinking my position, Kumar. It's like a New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox. That rivalry will never die. He's just created now a new
Avenue to make money.
a new rivalry. Him against the fake news, and his news is going to be the real
Well,
news.
that
and
serves
then-
him if he decides to run again in 2024.
Well, that would be perfect. But if he never wants to run again, I think he is just the news networks. He'll just make so much money.
For me, this is the best case scenario. The election stands as it does. What is he just having a moment?
Hear what?
This is the best.
You have those headphones on the wrong way too.
This is the best case scenario possible. The election stands as it does. Trump concedes, decides, talks to everyone, says, "You're not going to put me in jail. I'll go away." He releases all the alien information. He releases JFK information. I just can't do this like this.
So go ahead, you can.
Well,
He
no.
releases JFK information. I'm listening. It just
He decides to walk away. Everything's good. He releases all the space stuff. Reveals they never went to the moon.
Brings Julian Assange
And
Snowden
pardons
home.
Julian Assange and Edward Snowden.
but we know that's not going to happen.
No, but
Well,
this-
I heard he's going to fire the
sorry.
head of the CIA on his way out.
Yeah.
And this is the last thing. He's dragged out of the White House in a dirty wife beater and his underwear.
With no makeup and his hair all fucking
Just like, I'm not going.
aloof. Yeah.
That'd be the best way.
Did you guys see the Jimmy Fallon where Jimmy lets him mess up his hair?
Yeah.
And you can see exactly how bald he is.
Trump,
Yeah, I had never seen that before.
And everyone
Dude,
he's very bald.
I'm going to show you. It's crazy.
everyone was so mad at Jimmy Fallon for doing that because they humanized Trump.
Trump laughs it off.
He's Donald
like
Trump
a
now.
champ. Trump laughs it off like a champ.
You guys know where I stand on Donald Trump. I'm
Simon,
gonna
it's
leave that
the
off
world's
to defend him
craziest
anymore.
comb over.
Yeah, it's not how I imagined it would be, so we'll see if it's how you imagined it would be.
Kamar, I've always stood by the fact that like you are exactly the type of person that Donald Trump does not want to do well in the world. But you have this weird, like you revere him for this weird, I don't know.
You think that I don't think Donald Trump wishes ill will on me, or I don't know. I don't believe that.
But to say you don't think he wishes ill will on you, I mean, I'm not saying, okay, fair enough.
First of all, he doesn't care about me because I'm not an American.
Well, of course. But I'm saying if you were an American,
I think he'd want the best for me.
fair enough.
This is great for the listeners. Simon is trying to show Matt a video.
Yeah, it's fine. Show me later.
Yeah, do it in the post.
I looked at one where they showed you the slow motion angles, so you really got to...
Listen, on a windy day, look at the man. It's
In any event, this podcast had a lot of potential, but because there's no result, it sort of left you hanging. It was a bit of a nothing burger. And the other thing, how they were talking about, the only reason Trump is allowed to bitch and complain about this election is because they served him 2 years of Russian collusion. And I wonder why the Russians didn't help him this time. But I don't want it to be overturned. I just want us to move on and all those people to be happy. And Joe and Kamala make the world a better place.
well, we know that's not going to happen.
They can keep
I always
the
thought
seat warm for 4 years.
I always thought in my head, I was like, I think Russia was in on it, but I don't think Trump knew about it.
Well, they did a
Like, I think that.
huge investigation and found nothing.
But then it all would be true for everybody, you know?
Yeah, but I agree. I'm saying they use that meme war both ways. I'm just saying it worked out in Donald Trump's favor. I'm not saying again that Trump was over there signing things, being like, I need you guys to help me win this election. I'm just saying I think they helped him win the election.
Also, I feel like the
One
left
way or the other.
are really sore winners. And it just grows the vitriol and stuff like.
That's what Dave
The right
Chappelle-
are too, though. You realize that, right? Not my president. That was a whole thing, right?
When,
And they said he
when
wasn't
Obama-
even born in America.
You know what? And I was supporting Obama that time. but
That's what Dave Chappelle said. He said, just, be good winners. Just be good winners.
Well, I agree. Yeah. Listen, if you think that Biden and Kamala Harris are going to make the world a better place, you're a fucking moron.
That's a lot of people right now.
Well,
I
wake up.
And again-
I hope for the best.
I'm not saying I would support Trump either. I think Trump is a piece of shit. I just think that if you think you voted Biden and all of a sudden they're going to turn this ship around and the world's going to be a better place in the next 4 years, I got some bad news
I'd be
for you.
way more optimistic if it was Tulsi or Bernie,
Yep.
anything like that.
Or anyone else. Like,
Anyone else.
imagine, think about this, okay? Biden, who, he wasn't even in the conversation. At the beginning, he wasn't even in the conversation. And,
None of stuff
and
makes
Kamala, who was in the conversation, got her ass handed to her in one debate and ended her campaign drive. And somehow those two snuck in. Like,
So it's-
again,
it's so fishy.
get Trump out of there.
It's not
Like,
even
get him
snuck
out.
in.
But
Biden said as soon as Biden was in there, he was
Ugh.
like, I don't know who my vice president is, but it'll probably be a woman of color. Like, well, we knew who that was.
And
Oh, I didn't a woman of color. I'm still
Yes, I get it.
from
The
before.
interesting thing is if he passes away tomorrow or something, that'd be a real wrench in the mix. And
Dude, he for
hopefully the
sure-
gaffes he makes when he's speaking off the top of the head.
Why don't we talk about the positive though? New Jersey legalized weed.
bunch of places legalized weed and a couple of places legalized psilocybin.
Oregon decriminalized all drugs.
Yeah.
That's not going to work though.
We'll see. They're
Well,
still
the DEA,
they're
like,
still
they're going to have a
rioting.
fucking big problem with
That's
that.
what I was gonna say. Isn't the whole place on fire anyways?
But like for the 4 days, CNN acted like the world had stopped, and all they did was doing the ticker and do the same thing on the stupid screen. It was so ridiculous, and they didn't talk about psilocybin in DC, New Jersey legalizes marijuana. Like these are interesting things. And the Oregon experiment, we've been asking for that since we started this podcast. What if it works out well?
Yeah, you know what I wish and again, I don't really care, I guess. But
Well, we don't live there.
In a perfect world, it would be like the left one, they got Donald out, which is really in the end, that's all anybody really wanted. Get fucking Orange Man out, which is fine. Fine. If that's what you want, fine. But then they should say, through this process, though, we see that our own news networks are broken beyond belief. Let's get them the fuck out. Like, we did this now. In the process, we've seen all the deficiencies on our own side, and let's fix them, but they never will.
I was so disappointed. Chuck D tweeted last night about watching Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo having a deep discussion on the road ahead and the work need to be done.
That's scary.
And I tweeted, come on, man. They're the worst of the best of times.
Let me ask you though, like I watch a lot of Frontline. And when I watch Frontline, I feel like I'm watching something that is at least somewhat unbiased.
Yeah, we've all agreed that's the best of but that's PBS.
But I'm just saying there is some, there's stuff out there that is, I don't know.
That's not up to date news. Up to date news. You know what I mean?
I get it. They do long form. I get it. They do long form investigative journalism, talking head pieces. But I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, mocha, Maddie. Anything is possible.
In any event, those are the notes I had for the end of the world.
I think that pretty much did it, man. I found that they just said the same things over and over.
It was
again.
circular talk.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, again, I would rather just fucking, come on, Joe, just round table with some fucking comedians. Like,
It's not terrible to
think he
have
wants
a
some
guy
accuracy.
on there who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. If, there's a tie in the election or whatever, like you need to be able to know that. But just bring Jamie in. He could have looked all that shit up.
Oh, that was the other thing. The Snopes moment. I
Oh, man.
appreciated that.
I don't remember. Snopes. They're
When
the
Joe was
worst.
complaining, which is the stupidest thing. Do people sing on Thanksgiving?
No.
It was the guidelines from California on not
right,
being able to
no.
sing.
I think it meant for like church and stuff, though. No.
come on, they have
It
some.
was in parks. In any event, Kyle was like, no, Snopes has proved that or whatever. And then they
Snopes
went,
is garbage.
Snopes is garbage.
Do you know they sit on the Easter Bunny's lap in the States?
Not in COVID times.
Any chance the fucking pedophiles get, eh? Get a fucking little kid on their lap. It's like, yeah, Thanksgiving. I'm the fucking neighborhood turkey. Come sit on my lap.
Dude, I'll never forget it. I was living in New York, and my girlfriend at the time was like, "What did your parents get you for Easter?" And I was like, "What? I'm 22 years old." I was like, "They didn't get me anything." And she was like,
Chocolate bunny.
She was like, "Oh, mine sent me a diamond ring." And I was like, "You got a diamond ring for Easter?" And she was like, "You don't get Easter presents?" I was like, "What is this fucking second Christmas?" I just
I'm your Uncle Leprechaun. Come sit on me lap.
spin around on me pole.
Yeah, I wish I could have done that. It sounded good in my head again.
Well, it happens, Simon.
Well, we have 72 days of darkness right now, though.
Is that what it was? 72 days?
Well, it's 70 now.
No, but what did he call for? 72 days?
Well, it's from now to January 20th.
Let's keep in mind the Democrats did this too. They're going to go through the process. It's fine. They're legally he's legally allowed to do what he's doing. So, it's fine.
I will tell you this much, though, and you'll call me crazy, and you'll be like, oh, Simon, blah,
You are.
blah, blah.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me if you found out that there was hijinks because, and I'll tell you why, because you've seen that the Dems have they've gone against themselves to rid him of to get
They've
him out of
compromised
office.
themselves?
Totally, all of their ethics, everything. It just I don't think it happened, but I wouldn't be shocked if it did.
Not to the tune of 3 million votes.
I don't know what he needs to. Is that what it is? It's 3 million.
Like I
votes?
said, the only thing that's fishy is that the Dems lost seats.
It's
in
not-
this landslide. It's
not
doesn't
really
make sense.
3 million votes though, right? Because couldn't it just be one big state that they won with a lot of seats and that? No, I'm asking. I'm so stupid when it comes to this American
The
politics.
popular vote is like 74 to 70 million.
I don't even understand that shit after they explained it a million times last time.
Then each state has a number of electoral
Well,
votes.
I know that.
The bigger the state,
Yeah.
the more the votes.
No, not necessarily, though, right?
Pretty much.
Are you sure? Because there are some
Nevada
really-
was like 11.
Nevada's
Pennsylvania
6.
was
Nevada's
26.
6,
Well,
yeah.
there you go. Based on population.
based on population, not on size.
No, the geography? No,
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with anything.
Well,
He meant
that's-
he meant populous when he said
I
size.
thought he meant
I
size.
misspoke. I
like
apologize.
then Texas would have like 100 votes or whatever. Isn't it the biggest state?
Alaska's the biggest state.
Or California, I guess is but it does have the most.
Alaska's the biggest state.
Yeah, right. And
Land-wise.
and they only have 6 or 4 votes. or
Yeah, because no one fucking lives there. Exactly.
They're still
they're-
counting
and
in
they're
Alaska.
all-
They're like 50%. It's hilarious.
They're still counting in Alaska, but
it's
it's
hilarious.
like
Just red is red.
yeah, there's no way that state's flipping.
They talk about it in the last podcast, but I was living in Australia in 2000.
Yeah.
So I was so far removed from the Gore Bush thing. And I didn't realize that it went to December 13th. There was no one knew what was going on.
So
I remember the Florida recount.
so
was
yeah,
fucking-
so
It was a lot less votes. It was a lot.
but then they found out that the machines were rigged, right? The
not rigged. No,
chipped.
they were faulty. No one rigged that election.
this was when
When Gore and
the
Bush.
Supreme Court might have rigged it. Because Gore was winning, then they were saying, have a recount. They said, no, we're not going to do that because it's just going to make this seem illegitimate. Gore concedes, Bush becomes president.
There are certain states where they have to, like Georgia, for example. If there's a 0.5% discrepancy in votes, they have to recount no matter what. So if it's
too
a
close.
certain percentage, maybe it's 5%, I can't remember, but if it's within a certain percent, there's an automatic recount no matter what. So Georgia, for example, which was super close, they'd have to recount no matter what.
It's just their rule.
That's it.
If it's this close, they just kick in. You have to do it. One of the interesting things too is Van Jones came out and said how Trump could still become president.
like there's still a route for him to become president without having to go to the courts.
No, of course, the courts are going to be involved. But if all this gets thrown out,
Apparently,
it turns into each state gets a vote and they vote.
I was hearing that if he takes it to the Supreme Court, he has more favor with the Supreme Court than the Dems do.
Well, of course,
and
'cause he
the
just
whole
Just
government.
sat 2 people
Yeah.
in it, of course.
Well, no, I just
It's so crazy, just my work. And my other criticism of CNN is they're talking about this. Trump is accusing of fraud without evidence. Like, that's not how it works. You have to have evidence, and then but they did the exact same thing with Russia. So shut the fuck up.
It's exactly the same thing. And that's why if he wants to contend it, everybody just has to let him do his thing. Because the last thing you would want is if you're a Democrat and you're a Biden supporter or whatever, is for the next 4 years having them go, you robbed us. But let them do their due diligence. You know, if you're not afraid, then
Yeah.
let him do it.
If you
And
know you're right,
if
you
you're
should be afraid of
afraid,
nothing.
then all the more reason why they should do it.
Well, there is no let him do it. He has all the legal right in the world, and he's gonna do it. He's
It's just everything. He's whiny.
Yeah,
he's whatever.
just know it should be, look, this guy has every right. Boom.
my biggest problem, like I said, is as soon as he says stop counting votes, that's a big fucking problem. That's a big problem.
They said stop counting. He said stop counting. It was a fucking, nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Like
No, he said stop counting.
I think
He said stop counting one place, start counting another place. So it was like,
anyways.
and any
Well,
of
not
this
anyway. You
behavior-
said they said stop counting. Who?
I think the Dems also wanted places to stop counting.
any of this behavior saying, I'm surprised
In
Donald
red
Trump is acting like
states
that. It's
where-
like, whatever.
I don't know. I just think the whole thing was crazy. And again, they knew it was going to happen. They knew there was going to be all sorts of like hinkiness going on, and yet there were still states where they weren't letting the other side watch them count. Like that should have been a no-brainer. Everybody should have been able to watch everybody. If one side wanted to watch one side count or the other side wanted to watch that, there never should have been a time where there were ballots being
but
counted.
you have no proof to that either. You have no proof that there weren't two sides watching in every state and every place.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
that
coming
is
here.
what Trump is going to court to fight.
I don't
So
know.
Yeah,
we'll
but
find out.
it's
totally.
That's why I'm coming in
don't
here
know.
though, saying I don't know anything. I can't say no. They did this. They did this. I don't know.
I guess I'm like I said at the beginning, I'm sure Trump would have tried to cheat, and I'm sure the other side would have tried to cheat. You just get angry if I say Trump did it and the other side did it too. Like, I don't understand.
How am I angry?
Okay.
And that was the End of the World podcast. A big disappointment at the end of the day for what it was hyped up to be. I think
I didn't hype this up at
it
all.
wasn't a disappointing podcast, but it isn't
Without
what it
Alex
could've been.
Jones, it wasn't going to be any fun.
Without Alex Jones and without a result,
Even with Alex Jones and no result, it would have been a lot of fun.
would have been maybe.
This was, sorry.
I was actually going to bring this up in a post show. The one thing we didn't talk about during the Alex Jones podcast is when Joe said, Alex, I'd like you to talk about your battles with Adderall or whatever. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to talk about that, Joe.
That was
really
interesting.
strange, but explains a lot of Alex Jones.
That was like in the End of the World podcast, the first one, where what's his name? Doug Stanhope tells everybody about Joe's fucking cold sores.
Joe has herpes?
Did you not watch that episode?
4
you know
years
what
ago?
I'm talking about, right?
Oh, I mean, I watched it, 4 years ago.
So
If you say so,
I
I
haven't
believe
seen it
there's
recently.
one part where he and Joe's really uncomfortable, but he has to make a joke out of it, and he
remember.
go back and watch it. It's worth seeing because it's an interesting human moment, you know. And no, Joe apparently got them when he was a baby. So
From a rabbi? The moil.
that's genital herpes.
Sorry. I was joking.
Okay, rate it.
Isn't what it wanted to be, but I like Tim Dillon to be there all the time. I don't mind him. I rate it a 3.
Simon,
2.
I give it a 1.
You hated it that much?
This week sucked. I was not interested.
Yeah, no,
in
I
any
agree.
of
This
these.
week
Yeah.
sucked. I just have a hard time rating anything a 1 that had Tim Pool in it.
Well, Tim Dillon as
Or
well.
Tim Dillon, rather.
I was
Tim
gonna
Pool.
say.
Jesus.
Well, it was 4 hours of nothing.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't care if Tim Pool's there.
He-
He had a few zingers. Great. That's why I got a 1 and not a
Tim
fucking
Dillon.
0.5. Whatever.
Tim
fuck.
Dillon's always going for the kill shot.
Tim Pool sucks.
And what Kyle Kalinske
Tim
said
Pool
was going to
sucks.
happen is exactly what happened. So everyone comes out looking good.
Yeah, there you go.
Next up, we have 1559.
Steve Rinella.
Steve
I
Rinella.
thought we had something.
Sorry.
Sorry, I stepped on the toes. My bad.
No,
you
you-
looked right at
you
him.
did it.
No, you did look right at him. So I should have sat here and just said nothing.
Steven Rinella. It's so crazy that this week had 2 guests on it who both we said should be retired from Joe Rogan.
I don't think we ever said anything about Steve Rinella.
I think we've had mutterings
Well, I
about
definitely thought
hunting
it.
and whatnot.
Well, we've said hunters in general.
I definitely thought
But if you look at the comments on YouTube, people will welcome him with open arms.
Rinella.
I mean, he's a grounded, he's
You know
a
what,
calming
He
voice.
is. He's a nice enough guy.
I fretted it because we've had these conversations, but I mean,
So enlighten us, Kamar.
well, my new saying, which will happen often, is I don't want to get over my waders here. Well, that's the water coming in. But if you're a first time listener and you tune in and they start talking about was the whale penis,
Walrus.
walrus penis,
That's,
what are we doing here?
That's
Bacula.
fly fisher lingo.
Of course,
I don't want the water to get over my waders.
but that's just speaking out of something you may not know about. And then, as the comments in YouTube said, whenever Rinella's on, it's a interview by Rinella asking Joe questions. And it was like a reflection upon how we've gotten here, which has been happening. the end of the Glenn Greenwald episode, God's Sad, like the growth or whatever. And I thought it was interesting. Joe credited head trauma to his success. You know, and they had the same conversation about a network couldn't do this, is a bag of bones. How he does is like, he compared himself maybe to Roseanne and Sam Kinison.
Yeah, I've suffered massive head trauma, and I'm a massive failure. So I'll anecdotally, it's 1-1 right now.
But you also have a
3-1.
don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but that's also probably what's holding me back.
Well, in Joe's theory is that's what has helped him succeed. So maybe your time's about to come.
No, my time has definitely passed.
They talked about him narrating his own book, saying if you
10
don't,
years later.
if you don't narrate your book, is like the guy fucking your wife, as we had in the God Sad episode where he revealed he did not read it.
Gadsad, who, by the way, I think we were remiss not to bring up the fact that he's Ariel Hawani's
I brought it up.
uncle. And that's the
No,
only
I
goddamn
brought it up.
reason he's on the show ever.
They had the awkward conversations like, how do we even make it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it might have been the fact that Ariel
It
Hawani's
might have been. No, 1,000%.
But even then, how has Ariel
irrelevant.
Helwani not been on Joe Rogan?
Because Dana said if you ever put Ariel on, you
Probably.
and I are going to have a huge problem.
Probably.
I'm being serious.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably
And
agree with that, yeah.
I thought Steve Rinella showed a lot of character when he's talking about how he shits on The Revenant.
Yeah.
Then he had the guy on his podcast. And turns out a lot of it was out of his control.
Well, he was shitting on the movie, not on the book.
Yeah.
Well, but he had the guy on, and
Yeah, he had the author on.
But his initial thing was they don't know anything, none of this, and the guy was like, "Well, you can." I mean, I didn't listen to the podcast, but he sort of walked back his opinion or his criticism, opening up the door for Joe to lose his mind about Gary Goodrich in Foxcatcher.
Yeah, such a small thing. I got to tell you, as someone who's been on like minor movie sets, someone who went to film school, he's just wrong. There are certain things where you have to exaggerate it. It has to be bigger than what it was. You have to make it a machete and not a knife. It just doesn't play well on screen. Like it doesn't. There's certain things that just don't look as good or pop as much and won't have the same feel. Like it.
But
I know
it's different. That's different than what he's saying. You're saying like the guy drove a blue car, but it's nighttime, so we're gonna make it red because it's gonna pop more in the shot. That's different than having a black guy play a white guy.
But hold on, but
and a
even
Russian
then, hold
play an
on.
American.
Listen, to have his Joe's one sticking point is it's a 2-second scene in the movie, and again, maybe Big Daddy Goodrich was like, you're not using me in the movie, and they were like, fine, we'll make it a white guy.
I'd like to find that out to see. Maybe it was something as simple as this guy refused to let them use it. They offered him 100 or 10 grand.
Yeah, and he was like,
I
"Fuck
want
that."
100.
That's what I'm saying.
They're like, yeah, that doesn't work for us. It's a Russian now. I'll entertain that with you.
Because that's what I'm saying. Think about that. That's the easiest thing. They're like, listen, buddy, you're in this movie for 10 seconds. We're offering you 10 grand. If you don't want it, we're just going to make you a white guy from, you know what I mean? Like,
that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
There may
But
be an explanation.
Let me give you this example, okay? I watched that Lady Chess show.
yes,
Well, that was my perfect example. You can't
Okay?
accept that.
I can't. Well, not. I'm so angry because
You know, Star
Can I
Wars.
give you another-
You know,
This
Star
isn't
Wars
gonna-
never happened.
This isn't going to go
Can
good
I give
for
you-
me. But
Can I give you another example real quick
Yeah.
before you go on your
I'm not going to.
anti-female diatribe?
It's not an anti-female.
I don't care. I'm for it. They're not funny.
Obviously, they're not good chess players either.
Of course not. What's that show on Apple TV? About the moon?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Oh, with,
I know where. Away. It's called Away. No, is it?
You're talking about the comedy when they're training to go to the moon.
No.
It's not a comedy, no.
It's about the women who go to the moon. They never went, but it's like an alternate idea, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I didn't watch it.
Okay. Well,
You know
fine.
why, Matt?
'Cause it
Because it's
didn't
not
fucking
true.
happen.
But what about a good story?
Then make it like a science fiction story, you know?
But I
Or
get
make
it.
it
It's
an alternate universe thing, but don't just make it like you've decided that this is the way you want it to be, and you're gonna try listen. I don't even care about that. I don't care. What bothers me is that I was fooled. I watched that and was like, I can't believe there was this woman who was so good at chess that she was beating all the Russian guys Like, this is insane. And then my wife's like, no, there wasn't. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I look, and it's not real. It's based on a conglomerate of people, none of them women. Like, and so again, with your space thing. So my son, here's a good, because he's an idiot. He watches that show, and he's like, goes to school, and he's telling his teacher, yeah, you know, women went to space, blah, blah, blah. They've all been on the moon. It's happened a million times, you know? And he's like, well, where did you see that? Oh, I saw it on Apple TV. Like, no, guys, you have a little bit
Did
of a
this actually
responsibility.
happen?
No, but
It's the
hold on,
same
that's-
people
no,
why
that's
Oliver
ridiculous.
Stone-
That's absolutely
it's the
ridiculous.
Same reason why Oliver Stone should not make up things when he's doing the JFK.
Even
Don't
then,
just
but you're
make
talking
up
about
people. You know?
You're talking about like it's just so weird. It's like you don't want there to be fiction unless it's
no
total
fiction,
fantasy.
only fantasy.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Well, no, okay, fine. Just the way this one came across, I get it. I'm being a little unreasonable, but the way this one came across, I found
You're
it
talking about Queen's Gambit.
Yes, Queen's
Okay.
Gambit. I found it very sneaky, kind of like Matt, the Mermaid documentary, just to bring it full circle. You
But I
know,
just
like
wanna-
they were purposely trying to fool people into believing
But
that this was reality.
I'll submit this.
But okay, I get that you feel duped. Sorry, give me a second here. I get that you feel duped. That's fine. I understand that feeling. But like if someone watched it knowing, like if
I just wouldn't have watched it if I knew. Is that what you mean?
so you wouldn't have watched a fictional show about a woman dominating at chess.
Correct.
Okay.
Struggling with demons, an orphan whose mother tried to kill her.
I just wouldn't.
But again, this is the sticking point for me. And just bear with me here.
Yeah, we'll play
My
this
big
out.
sticking point is that last week you were like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Until I found this out.
Correct.
Yeah, that's where you lose me. I like it. I like it because it's like a Madman period piece.
That's
You know,
why I
look at the
liked it
times.
too. Yeah.
So like it. But you're not. No,
Madman, based on reality.
So-
They didn't have like look, they might have pushed the envelope a little bit by having a secretary who became a copywriter, but they didn't have women as the bosses because that didn't happen back then, guys.
Okay,
like,
it's a period piece.
and if they were gonna do a show about a woman being a boss in the Mad Men times, I would have been like, not interested.
chess had a lot more popularity. It was bigger then,
Correct.
less games. So that's interesting. You're not a chess player. Now, the issue with Steve and Joe is Steve's a hunter, so he has the issues with the portrayal there. Joe is balls deep in fighting, so he has an issue there. But I don't see your connection to be robbed of.
I'm a human rational being. I feel like
Star Wars wasn't real.
yeah, we all know that. They didn't come out and was
You just
like,
feel duped, and so that's why you're upset.
no,
about it.
it's just lame to me. I guess I get it. Like I said, I'm probably being unreasonable. This is my gut feeling on this one is that it was a well done thing. I just like I don't know. It's weird.
It's called suspension of disbelief. And it's
Yeah.
how you're supposed to watch every film, every piece like that. You're supposed to, and like, again, Joe being like, it totally took me out of it. Like, it only took you out of it because you let that one small detail. And again, you know what? Here,
Because he's just so avid.
Can I give you an example? Just one small one, because Simon. I'm somewhat with you. I'll extend an olive branch. So watching that Comedy Store documentary, he's constantly interviewing people at their podcast studio, right? Mike Binder.
I think out of ease.
Okay, fine, out of ease. I don't care about the background or the setting. The point is, he's doing it. One of them, the mic isn't plugged in.
Oh, so that.
So again,
throws
small
mine out the
sticking
window.
point to me where I'm sitting there and
Well,
I'm
a
like,
documentary is different than a movie.
no, but I'm with Simon where like even watching a documentary, I'm still like, why have it in that setting with the microphones? At least plug it in and make me like believe that the microphone's on, but none of it was. So
All
small sticking point. I'm with you. It was one thing. It didn't take me out of it though. I still left it being like great documentary, incredible.
And okay, if you want to argue, Kamar, that it's not quite the same, like
I don't want to argue.
like the Big Daddy Goodrich, it affected Joe while he was watching. I didn't find out until after it was done.
But it also affected Joe because he's such an avid fight fan. So I'm saying if you really,
I am a fan of the truth.
But Simon, that's what really not bums me out. I don't give a shit, to be honest. But what I find odd, I'll say, is again that you left it satisfied. Like you didn't leave it You dedicated 7-8 hours to it, whatever it was, to watch the entirety of it. And through that 8 hours, you were at no point where
No, let's put it this way. I got to episode 4, found out it was fake, and did not watch 5, 6, 7 because there is no reason to do so.
So you didn't even finish it.
Well, how could I, Matt?
No, the ending was very disappointing. So you did yourself a
My
favor.
wife told me how it
There
ended.
you go.
But it doesn't even matter. It's like the second I found out. The second.
Well, the only thing you should be complaining about is that they talk to each other because you can't talk when you're playing chess. So that would have brought you out of it. But
You can't talk while you're playing. Really?
No.
Tournament chess, you're not allowed to talk to each other?
You told us last week, didn't you?
No.
Oh well.
Simon doesn't know jack shit about
I'll
chess.
have to look that up or bring it up in the post, Joe. All this was to say a credit to Steve Rinella's character, that he was critical, like that's bullshit, talk to the guy, and sort of walked it back. But Joe was like, no, you got to get stuff right.
And again, I
Steve
think
Rinella's
you
a
have
good
that
guy.
a little wrong. I'll agree. Fine, he's a good guy, but you have that a little wrong. He was making fun of the movie The Revenant. The guy who wrote the book, The Revenant, thought they were making fun of him.
Yeah.
Steve Rinella said, no, that's not the case. I'm going to have him on so I can tell him that we weren't making fun of him. We liked the book. It's the movie we didn't like. That's all I'm saying.
So he still held his line. Oh, you're right. I have known nothing. Again.
I mean,
So now your whole argument from this whole conversation is like that movie.
Pretty much.
Suspect.
It didn't happen.
but this is why the Academy is not filled with hunters. It's filled with fucking movie makers because they were like, we don't care about the small details Steve Rinella's pissed about. The thing was shot using natural light and Leo's performance was
I
incredible.
don't want to
Like,
get over my
The
waiters
best
here.
the best I can do, Matt, is the what's the one with Robert De Niro and the kick? Because I'll tell you, that moment took me so far out of that movie
I couldn't agree
that
more.
I could not come back.
Well, I came back.
I know. I'm saying I couldn't come back. And to your point, that documentary, they didn't just film it and release it. It's not fucking live. That thing hit the editing floor. They saw, they could have changed whatever the fuck they wanted that didn't work for them, you know?
Well, it's not that. Again, it's just like what? Like again, I'll say it to you. I think the podcast setting was good because his whole juxtaposition was like the podcast is the new medium for comedians, and it's,
So what are you saying then? I don't think I understand. What was
The
your
devil's
problem?
in the
it was just
details. That's all I'm hearing.
That's it. The devil was in the
No,
details.
but what's the detail? I don't think I understand.
He was sitting in Whitney. I think it was Whitney Cummings' studio where he was interviewing her.
Okay.
One of the mics wasn't plugged in. Yet
Oh,
they're-
they were pretending to be talking
Yet they're
into the mics.
Yes. Yet they're doing it like it's a
I see.
podcast setting.
I see. That's
And
not
then,
what I thought you
and
meant.
since we're on a weird fucking super weird sticking point, I'll say this. When I found out that Ali McCloskey is a door person and that she's been on and that Mike Binder, who made this documentary and was like a store regular, hasn't been on, Argus hasn't been on. I could name a million store regulars that haven't been on Joe Rogan.
You think Joe's above fucking a door girl?
I just
Nope.
told you last week. I just said
You've pointed at
There
me like
are
this
so-
aggressively so
there
many
are
fucking
so
times this
many-
episode.
comedians who haven't been on Rogan. That was my point, Maddie, because I had just watched this. It was that this girl, these two girls.
It was one night in Vegas. They couldn't control themselves.
Anyways, it
That's what
doesn't
happens.
matter. It's no, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just special treatment because it's like cute girls at the store, you know?
Are you guys worried they're going to be overrun by wolves?
Who's they? Like the they that you guys are always talking about are all of a sudden have wolf trouble?
You mean Texas?
It?
I mean, us. They were talking about controlling the wolf population.
Are you like, is that like a metaphor for Americans coming up here or what's going on?
No, it was just Steve Rinella and Joe talking about
Oh, like literal
controlling
wolves.
populations.
No, I don't think we're going to be overrun by wolves.
How about the cat man? That is something I want to check out. The guy who hunts all the cats and then makes all the clothes
yeah.
and the furniture and the lights and the... No?
Yeah, the guy in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
But Joe has a really good point. Like, look, so they have... let's just take alligators in Florida. They obviously...
pythons.
No, gators too, because they give out...
Pythons are the big problem right now in
No,
Florida.
I get fine.
Sorry, go ahead.
Python, sure. Same thing. It doesn't matter. Whatever they're giving out tags for people to hunt, they have an overpopulation of. Why then not let them turn those into like whatever to sell? That it seems so counter.
Because that would encourage hunting.
Well, it encourage people to buy the tags.
Well, you're going to have way more legislation like that with Biden and Harris. Trump would let him make
Look,
boots.
he brought it all back.
Well, it was interesting. Throughout this podcast, they were talking about politics, but we were ahead of them. You know what I mean? Knowing what was happening, so it was sort
But
of like,
we don't really know.
well, you did if you were watching the TV. Well, listen to this podcast.
Okay.
They were just behind, and we've asked like, where would you want to go back to? I think I always said the Old West, and Joe asked Steve, where do you want to go back? And he'd like to go see the woolly mammoths, and I really would like to see that.
It's like that old
More
Louis
so
C.K.
than-
joke.
Sorry.
Well, it's that old Louis C.K. joke. We're white. We can go back to any time. You know what I mean?
Did I
If
tell
you're
you-
black, it's like, nothing past 1980. I'm good.
I had a friend who was doing a joke at the club, and he said, if you could be a superhero in like the 1960s or 50s or whatever, what would you want to be? And he was like, I just want to be white. And a girl threw a glass at him.
Okay.
Was that saying? I don't think he stole the joke, but it's just the same
Yeah.
sort of idea. But
Oh, she was angry because he's a joke thief.
No.
no,
because he
she
says,
was,
like,
she was
I got
offended.
it.
She was offended. But it's the first time I ever saw someone
Sorry,
throw a glass
Joe.
at a comedian on stage. And it's not that, I don't know, offensive a joke.
I had multiple glasses thrown at me on stage at Babylon.
You're doing something right, bro.
During hip hop karaoke, they didn't like how you were running the show.
That was never at Babylon, no.
Yeah.
And then I had trouble, but I found an interesting discussion about the Blitzkrieg theory, that we eradicated all the animals.
They don't believe that anymore.
They don't believe that anymore.
So what did you have a problem with? That they don't believe it anymore?
No, just following it. Like, they find a bunch of, there used to be elephant graveyards, whatever. It just spoke again to Steve Rinella's character, because he thought that was, you know what I mean? I just trust Steve and like Steve, and he was nice to have on. And it was,
It reminded Joe that he hadn't had on the coyote guy in a while. So maybe that'll remind him to
keep saying he's going to try.
get Dan Flores back on.
That's his name. Yes.
That's his name.
Yes.
And those,
Coyote America, great book. Everyone should check it out.
Well, unless he writes another book, he's not coming back on.
He did write another book before that.
He comes to, well, you never know. Maybe he's going to do the 10-year later audio release, and
Well, that's how Rinella got back
that's what
on.
I'd
so-
listen. That's why I was saying it.
and then lastly, for me, there was that interesting point where he talked about the bear situation, where it was portrayed that it was like mountain man or whatever, but it shook him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His vulnerability. He's very honest and forthright. Like, some people say, fucking bears coming at you, things happen. It's like, no, I froze. I was shook. Have you guys ever seen a bear?
Fuck no.
I
I would
have, yeah.
shit my
I've
britches.
seen 3 bears.
I've seen bears too. And they didn't even go close to talking about polar bear. Because polar bear trumps your Kodiak grizzly, everything. Like, it's the apex predator.
Yeah.
Just out there on an iceberg.
I'd be interested, though, to watch a fight between a polar bear and a giant grizzly bear. You
If
know?
there was an abundance of bears on the planet,
And if seasteading was a fucking thing,
well,
that could happen.
we
You
could just
know
have
that,
Animal Fight Island.
That we talked about this already, but there was that grizzly bear that mated with the polar bear. It was one grizzly bear. They thought it was a new species of bear, but it was actually just one horny grizzly bear mom who kept going back to get fucked, and each season she'd have a new.
It had the opposite of jungle fever.
They called them polar bears, growler bears. That's,
Like a grapple?
yeah, they thought it was going to be a new thing, but then once this bear died off, there was no grizzlies that wanted to fuck polar bears anymore.
Do you know what a
just not
grapple
one.
is?
Yeah, it's a grape apple.
I thought I was dropping knowledge.
There's a bunch of fruits.
The cronut,
like that,
too.
though. The most amazing
Croissant
fruit
donut.
thing. Oh, that's gross. The most amazing fruit thing I saw was there's this guy who has these like plastic molds, and he puts them around like baby apples.
Yeah, and he
and
makes
then
them
grow
square.
into juice boxes. It's the weirdest thing, man.
Well, have you not seen
Shape the square watermelon.
Well, that's how
the
they
square
do the
watermelons? Yeah,
watermelons,
are all over. And square apples. They're all over Japan.
Have you seen the watermelon grapes? They're like tiny little watermelons the size of grapes.
watermelon
That
grape?
sounds adorable, though.
Grape watermelons. I don't know what they would be.
So you eat the rind?
I'm not sure how that works. Yeah, I think you just eat the whole thing.
Interesting.
I don't know. Probably because it's so small, the
rind
is very soft like a grape, you know? I think that's probably how it works. As opposed to having to cut tiny little slivers of the watermelon, you know, like triangles. Yeah.
Like baby corn?
Exactly. Like baby corn. You use
little fucking toothpicks. Just
I was thinking
I love
push
those little
pins.
Chinese
sure,
corn.
yeah.
Yeah. Push pins.
You feel real, like a real man.
I hate baby corn.
What about baby carrots that aren't actually baby carrots?
I do like baby carrots, but
They're
yeah,
just
they're
carrots
not. They're
whittled
just
down.
small carrots, yeah. So don't fuck around.
No, they make like 5 baby carrots out of 1 carrot.
Yeah, but they're not baby carrots. Baby corn is baby corn.
Baby
That's
corn
why
is
you
baby
know,
corn.
because some baby carrots are way better than others. And those are the middle. You know how the middle of the carrot's way better?
Yeah. Is it? I thought the
way better.
top of the carrot was
No.
better.
I have another friend who does a great joke about pedophile, baby fruit. It's good.
Well, I was just gonna say, like now I see that I don't like any fruit or any vegetables that are.
Or any
Tiny
story that isn't
versions.
100% true. Sorry, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah,
I
as
don't
far
give a
as
fuck. Are you done?
Yeah, this was a lot of reflection. What's that look for? What's that look for?
There was no look.
You said, "Are you done?"
oh, looks he's in a mood today. Believe me.
Well, no, at least have me look away or something. Like, don't do it in
No,
front
this
of
guy's something else today. Trust me.
my notes on Rinella are inadequate. Is that what you're trying to say?
Look at his notes. He's got one. He's got
Well, no, we
a
had the
third of a piece of
conversation.
full
I didn't
scap.
take notes.
I saw a fucking
You're
eye
done
roll
taking
there.
notes.
Yeah,
Simon's done taking
you're
notes.
cut off.
No, I need a break though. It was weighing me down, man.
It's fine. It's fine.
It changes it when you can just listen as like a fan again. you know?
Fine. Please stay that way. But you're upset with my notes on this.
No, I knew this episode was weak. I wouldn't have
I
had
just
a
don't
lot
appreciate
either.
that look.
It was no look.
It,
It wasn't about that. It wasn't about.
my eyes don't
notes.
lie.
Neither do your hips.
There's a bunch of reflection in this, outdated, as it were, political talk. And Steve shone through, and people love him. I love their energy together. Let's rate it.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk at least for a second about how Steve called him out on maybe how his platform does have.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was good. He did it rhetorically,
Yeah.
but he did. Yeah, he said you have a responsibility now.
He was like, I might not agree with this, but he was like, have you ever thought that maybe at this point
And
you
Joe's
have...
like, "Fuck it, I'm a comedian. I can say whatever I want." And then 2 seconds later, he apologized
Sorry, I was
for
joking.
something. Yeah,
Well, no,
so whatever.
I'm sorry we didn't bring it up specifically, but that's the reflection like I see in the Glenn Greenwald, how many people are listening to this, you know what I mean? And how many people have benefited. Forget about Joe's success, like how many ships he's raised, a la Steve Rinella,
Oh, so
a la
many.
Lex Friedman, a la Tim Dillon, a la probably Andrew Schulze's help, but he has
In
his own
all
path.
different, not just comedy, like anybody who he likes who has come on, he has helped.
That would be the more interesting discussion than constantly going back to, because it's still evolving as it is.
I've actually started listening to Lex's podcast. I don't even hate the guy.
Told you guys.
I don't want him on Joe Rogan. I like his podcast.
You don't get it. I don't hate him either. I want to like him. More than anybody, I want to like Lex Friedman. It's when he goes on Rogan that he's a problem. It's
I'd
not
also
on
like-
his own podcast. On his own podcast, he's fine. He just asks questions to smart people.
It's interesting discussions, eh?
Yeah, I'd like to see him in in jeans and a t-shirt.
But why, when he goes on Rogan, does he sing and like?
Because he's
what-
with his only friend. He gets giddy. Like,
Stop it! Stop standing up for him.
we're going to get into the studio. Imagine we on. Simon brings in his bongos. Joe, I wrote a song for you. Just loses his mind. Alacone. Oh, my God.
I believe it.
So despite the eye roll, that's all I have, Simon. Sorry.
Despite the eye roll, you'll have to go back to the camera to prove that eye roll to me, Kamar.
Oh, it'll just be a turn
You
of the head.
still will show it to you, and you'll do this. You'll go,
I'll need multiple
That didn't
camera
happen.
angles. You got that?
yeah, there we go. See,
Let's rate it.
I give this one a 1.
same thing.
I was fretting it. Well, whenever I think something's going to be bad, it's better than I thought. I give it a 3.
All right, let's just do the last one.
Oh, I need a break.
Oh.
Or you guys can start without me.
No, we'll take a break. We'll pay some bills, and I guess we'll be right back.
You got a piss?
1560.
Who was it? Oh, fucking Mike Baker.
Wow, you're out of it.
Amar, are you smoking another one of Matt's roaches?
Oh, yes, I am, Simon. Son of a bitch.
I just need that for the record.
I think Mike Baker is starting to do himself a disservice by being on the podcast.
Mike Baker is such an asshole. It's really sad because they actually talked about really interesting things in this episode, but Mike Baker is such an asshole. Like, at least Joe can see now, and he pokes fun at the fact that he's like this CIA agent who can't even see that he's still a CIA agent, you know?
Well, that's the whole problem. So anything, we'll get into it.
It's ridiculous.
We are. We're into it.
He's a
We'll get into it.
ridiculous individual.
So the beginning of the podcast, he's talking about voter fraud, the people getting in, and then he gets lost in his cover for action. Was it? Cover for action.
Yes.
Talk about
Cover for action, Joe, is when you go into.
you're doing surveillance or something.
Joe even had to stop and be like, what does this have to do with what we were talking about? That's where I got lost. He was like, it's when you go into somewhere, let's say we go into Pakistan and we want to eliminate someone. So we need cover for action. So say I bring my daughter. So I'm at the port and I'm pretending that I'm a tourist and I'm there with my daughter and a camera. So I'm just some tourist with my daughter. And Joe's like, you brought your daughter? He's like, yeah, why? Is there a problem with that? Scooter didn't want to come that day.
He got so lost. But it's basically, if you're doing an operation, make it obvious that people say, oh, they're just a man and his daughter, not secret agents doing something.
Mike Baker's wearing a shirt that says man and his daughter's wearing a shirt that says daughter.
I'm with FBI.
And she's got one that says I'm with CIA.
And it's clear politically Mike Baker's red, as it were,
Yeah.
after this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even care about that. I just want him to be able... I just, like, you can't say you're open to everything, but then be closed to anything that makes the CIA look bad. That's crazy. He was like Mocha, as long as you're not talking about the CIA.
Well, it was strange, though, because when we'll get to, I just want to say one thing. They made the bet.
Trump.
And
I don't think Trump will run again. I think he's going to be fine just having his news network.
yeah, as long as they say to him, we're not going to throw you in jail, just get the fuck out of here.
Oh, you think that he'll run again to avoid having to go to jail? Is that what you're saying?
No,
How does that work? You can't go to jail if you're running for president? I'm just curious.
he'll use the same thing that they tried to impeach him for. He can't attack someone running for president. That'd be interesting.
Okay, yeah, I mean, maybe. Anything is possible, man.
It would just make a lot of people happy if he rotted in jail for a couple years.
I'm sure. I think it's enough that they just got rid of him, though.
Has he committed a crime?
Everyone thinks he has. Like, when everyone says he can't impeach him, but there's a million other things he's done.
I mean, if he's committed a crime, he should go to jail.
Business
if he hasn't
dealings,
committed a
whatever.
crime, well, we also know that businessmen don't go to jail for business dealings. So he'd probably be the first ever.
Did you guys look at that footage of Melania as a clone?
No.
Where she's hugging him and kissing him? And
You're joking, right?
no, I'm not joking at all.
I'm not going to lie. As soon as they said they have footage of her hugging and kissing him, I
It's
was like,
super
sounds
weird.
doctored or
It's
like
super
a
weird,
double.
Yeah,
It's a fakening.
it was just it. I could see why there's a conspiracy theory about it because you've watched them for how long now, where it looks like she detests him. You know.
The thing is, Mike Baker's wife worked with Melania.
Oh, and
She's
she knows
nothing
yeah.
but good things to say about her.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you heard her when she
we know
was
she's an awful person.
talking about Christmas.
I don't think that made her look bad.
What do we even need fucking decorations for?
Fuck Santa Claus, fuck the kids, fuck America, and fuck Christmas. That's verbatim.
Yeah. Because there's more important things to worry about, she's saying.
Come on, I'm just joking. But she doesn't give a fuck about Donald Trump or.
I think
any of-
she's over the moon that he lost and like can't wait to get
Well,
out of
she
there.
can get her divorce now, I'm sure.
So they spoke about COVID. And you know how when things happen, the line is like, we'll figure out what happened, but right now we've got to sort of, do you think it's sort of like a conspiracy that the focus isn't finding out exactly what happened? it's still unknown to this day. Or I guess the running story is a wet market. A bat just got it and transferred it. And the whole planet is unlucky.
Once they've cured it, then they go looking for the reason it got here.
You think that's still on the table?
I would hope so.
I think it's no one cares about that.
No, nobody cares right now because everybody's too scared about it actually being out there. But once everybody feels safe, then they're going to go looking for someone to blame.
But I also feel like it's like a 48 hours thing. You know, you catch the killer in the first 48 hours. I don't see how more time will allow for a more accurate investigation.
No matter what, China has to be held accountable for this somehow. And I don't mean like go out and kill Chinese people. I mean like there have to be like sanctions or something. Something has to change so that if it did get spread from a wet market, that this isn't going to happen again. And if it got spread by a factory, we need to know that this isn't going to happen again. If it got spread deliberately, well then, you know, that's a whole different
That makes
conversation.
sense.
I'm just curious, though, who sanctions them? The U.S.?
The UN, I would imagine, but...
Well, they're owned by China. That makes sense.
But, like, let's say the U.S. sanctions them.
The U.S. can't sanction them.
No, because then they call in all their debt.
Well, yeah, I wasn't even thinking that. The U.S. can't... They're not who made the U.S. the boss, you know? They can...
Well, no, but you can put trade embargoes on them.
Oh, they can sanction them that way.
Yeah.
They can't stop concentration camps.
They don't want to stop the concentration camps. It's not they can't stop them.
We don't want to, as a planet, stop China from doing that.
Obviously not enough.
We, as a planet...
We like $40 sweaters.
That's fair.
So as long
That's
as we
fair.
like $40 sweaters, we better be okay with concentration
As long
camps.
as that kid doesn't get any blood on my shoes when he's putting the stitches. I think it's gone, and the majority doesn't want to know.
You think
anything
it's
more.
gone? What do you mean it's gone?
There was so much vitriol when this first started. Like, China's got to pay for it.
You know your shiny Air Jordans?
Oh, someone suffered.
Four
to make those.
Chinese
Someone
kids
suffered.
died to
Someone
make
suffered
those
to
fucking
make-
sneakers,
Someone suffered
man.
to make those. But there's a bunch of vitriol. We got to find out exactly what happened. All these suits against China.
I personally still feel that vitriol.
Or it's happening and there's no one reporting anything because it's...
I still feel like there has to be repercussions for China.
You're a special
one way or
individual.
another.
Well, unless we build enough factories to start making shit overnight, we're not going to sanction them or fucking do anything like that anytime
I'm
soon.
only using products that were made in North America, so
There you go.
Well, we just know that to be not true.
Karma free. And then Mike Baker's, I don't know what to call it, bumbling began with Anderson Cooper.
bumbling, fumbling. Yeah. Oh, Anderson Cooper, that was priceless, eh?
But he just was it. Anderson Cooper worked for the CIA. No, he never worked there.
Well,
Couldn't
I
be
mean,
true.
He didn't actually work there. He was an intern, an unpaid intern.
Well, how are you talking? His
Well,
talking
I'm just saying,
points.
but he didn't even know he was an unpaid.
No. When's the change, man?
Yeah.
He
Even
was
then, though.
just an intern.
And his parents were CIA agents. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Joe's follow-up question should have been, Mike, how did you get your job at the CIA? To which he probably would have answered, unpaid summer intern.
And my father was, in the Department of Defense or something. Like, dude, this guy is so.
This was a softball. He just said, yeah, he just said off the beginning. Yeah, he did a summer intern.
He has to have. Seriously, though, think about it.
Why doesn't he have Alex Jones and Mike Baker on together?
He's out there. He's out there on all these TV shows. Why is he allowed to do that?
Posing as an expert.
But he, as a CIA guy, he should have the same. He shouldn't be out there on TV.
Classified.
Yeah, you know why he can do that? Because he's like special privileges with the CIA.
But listen to his talking points. So he drops the ball on Anderson Cooper. Next, I don't know anything about George Soros. Do you guys know anything about George Soros?
A little bit.
Or that is just it's the buzzword name. He's a Bill Gates.
I don't know jack shit about him.
But
I know
no,
that a lot of people believe that he funds Antifa, and past that, I don't
And
know
Mike
jack
Baker
shit.
said he didn't, so we know he does. Like it just keeps going. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. And then he thinks that the bullet was legitimate in the JFK assassination.
Well, then we get to JFK, and he has to go. I don't know about the JFK, but this MLK, the bait
Stop
and
saying
switch.
that's you. That's your move.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not
Trump baby shitty, but what about Clinton?
No, it's
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a bad move. All in all, I agree with you. Mike Baker, bad move on Baker's part. Kamara, bad move on Kamara's part.
Or how about this? We now know that the MLK was just a crazy assassination, a bunch of coincidences, and JFK definitely was a CIA hit.
But MLK was definitely an assassination.
But
It was
it's like the guy who killed John Lennon, just like alone.
oh right,
He's
yeah.
saying it's organized.
Well, no, but it was organized. Oh, I don't understand because
Yeah, well,
he's
of course you
saying,
don't understand because Mike Baker said it.
because he's saying it was organized. We have to think that it was unorganized.
It is just a random coincidences.
disorganized, rather.
Is he Alex Joning it and being wrong about some things but right about other things?
No, I think he's just a fucking asshole who speaks off the cuff, doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, thinks that he has all this credibility because he's an ex-CIA agent or a current CIA agent, whatever.
Why is he on as much as Tom Papa?
I
That's
don't know.
the
it
real
doesn't-
fucking question.
Well, he's from Boise. Is that near Texas?
Idaho?
I don't know, man.
Well, he
yeah, Idaho.
he was
No,
It's not near
it's
Texas?
not near Texas.
he was
to
on the
answer
show
your
to
question.
promo.
I would assume it was near Texas.
It's not.
Okay. It's,
He was on the show to do promo.
I believe Iowa.
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Like, Joe, I got some things I want to promote. Could I get on?
Oh, and then he wanted to promote his friend's
then he-
business.
what-
Fuck you, man.
What do you it'd be
I
interesting.
thought it was going to be like a podcast or something. He's running a fucking
come down to Tim's Hair Care and Tire Center down on off Highway
No, but-
4.
Sorry, I'm mumbling and bumbling like he is. What a private investigator.
Yeah.
Like, he's just some dude who lives in Boise.
Yeah. Lockport's Gambino Ford. Push, pull, or drag it in. We'll give you at least $5,000.
we know the way it's recorded that there's 100% footage of Joe or both guests, right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
when it switches over, it doesn't stop taping because it's different.
Jamie
No,
has
it's two
OBS
different
and he's
cameras.
just switching the fucking.
So that would be a good Patreon for Joe. His face when he starts pushing his. Are you really doing this right now?
I thought he was going to
don't
kick him
know.
out of the studio. I legitimately was. I thought Joe was going to be like, listen, if you can't at least admit that that is fucked up, you have to leave.
He said at the end, like you said, you deny everything. Like, what are we doing here?
What?
Well, listen, if Mike Baker is on again in the next 6 months, we'll know it's all a fucking sham anyway.
Well, if say Donald Trump were to get back into office, he would be on for sure.
So I'm confused. I'm confused at what you said, and I'm confused at what you said.
Well, Joe just keeps having him on. And despite the fact that Joe believes all this stuff that Mike Baker's like, no, impossible, impossible. He also has people like Alex Jones on who are constantly like again, it feels like if Alex Jones is on with this guy, he'd be like, this guy's a fucking shill. This guy's a fucking, you know what I mean?
But at least Alex Jones comes with like
no, but-
new information. Mike Baker just repeats the same moronic fucking theory
And
over
denies
and over.
the same things we
This
know
is
are
what
fact.
I mean. It's crazy.
That's what I said. So if he has him on again in 6 months after knowing that he just keeps pushing the same narrative, like, why would he keep having him on?
Oh, right. Because people who work together do each other favors. Is that what you mean, Matt?
I don't know. Listen, someone called me the biggest conspiracy theorist on the
You
show.
both work for the CIA, and eventually you're going to do a lot of podcasts together.
But when Joe is talking to him and saying, you deny everything, like sort of calling him out, is he saying that off camera, Mike Baker does give the lowdown on things? Like, is it an act that he goes out there and says, everyone knows I can't actually say this if I am who I am.
I think Mike Baker, every time he backs himself into a corner of his idiocy, he just says, oh, I can't say anymore, CIA. You know? Like, I have some things I can't say, even to Joe. But that's just his way of not having to back up the fact that he won't admit that the fucking
Then
Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't working by himself.
it asks the question why Joe likes him so much.
Again, unfortunately, I think that lends itself to...
Unless Mike Baker is honeypotting, Joe Rogan has something on him.
Go on.
Well, that's why he keeps going on the podcast.
No. What does he have on him?
Oh, he's compromised.
He's Mossad.
It would have to be something with the CIA.
No, it's footage of him saying, "I hate fanny packs."
Maybe Mike Baker is his handler, and he's just like
I like that
a
joke,
glory hound, and every now and again he wants to get on there and like.
It's just weird how this guy, like, I mean, if you're gonna ask me this question,
He only said one of his kids' name this time. I thought that was a real fucking
It's refreshing.
breakthrough.
and they say things that he said could put them in jail.
Yeah, he's a fucking weirdo, man. I'm telling you, he has no business on this show.
Well,
But you know he's on like 4 other television shows.
sure, unless it's an act. And this is some weird Andy Kaufman shit where Joe has a CIA agent on and he fucking balks at everything. And what you're supposed to do is cue in on it and read between the lines and see what he's really trying to say. Like, that's the only
Have you
explanation.
ever seen an organization besides, I don't know, it might be the worst, get just destroyed more than QAnon?
Oh, no, they're in the shadows now.
Just everybody making fun of it.
But what's bigger, QAnon or Antifa? It's different, right?
Yeah, what do you mean what's bigger? Like what has more people following it?
Well,
It's kind of a weird question.
Who has more fans? Like
Who has more likes on
who has a
Facebook?
bigger Patreon account?
What's realer?
What's realer?
What were the 2 options again? Antifa and
QAnon.
what's realer? I don't know. Well, Antifa actually has like will go out and meet places and protest, whereas QAnon seems to just be like a thing on the internet.
Well, I would imagine that a lot of Proud Boys are QAnon.
Right there, what you said seems just to be something on the internet. That's all it was to me. Like, for it to be taken down, I guess Donald Trump might have pulled more off of its predictions or whatever, but they're still going. This is the time to fight the hammer.
No, I just mean like, if you told somebody that you were like a QAnon follower, they would look at you like you were a flat earther at this point.
Or a Trump supporter.
No, even way worse than that.
Kamara, I can look at you if you're like, I'm a Trump supporter, and I could make a few judgments, but I know you and I can talk to you. If you were straight up constantly giving me QAnon bullshit, I would definitely think differently of you.
If I was straight up into QAnon, I would be. But it is just what it is. Like,
What does that mean? If you were into it, you would be.
if I was an avid Q follower, you
Oh, I
would
know.
be
We'd
annoyed
hear
with
about
me
it.
by
I know.
now. There's
Yeah.
no way I could suppress it. But it's more just the breadcrumb, whatever. Like,
I mean, I guess I could see how it would be fun. Like it's kind of like a mystery you're trying to solve. You know what I mean?
but if there's nothing to solve, it's just a wild goose chase.
Again, it's kind of like watching the woman play chess for
It is
8
like that.
hours,
It is
and
like
then you
that.
find out that no woman did any such thing. You've wasted a lot of time. But what's
Listen, if you told me you were from North Carolina and you spent your weekends chasing child predators online, that's something I could be like, okay, well, at least you're actively out there trying to help the problem. But if you're just some fucking keyboard weekend warrior who's like, I think Hillary Clinton has a lair of kids under Washington, like, there's a big difference and there's a huge disconnect. Like, everyone in Hollywood has a fucking harem of young children. Like, are we really buying that? You really buy that? You buy that?
I buy that Hollywood is way worse than it seems.
Okay, we've done this before. Powerful people tend to not be great. There are powerful people in Hollywood. To generalize everyone in Hollywood as
No,
like
it's if Hollywood was more Republican and Democratic, I would believe that more so.
okay, but
It's like, why are they only in that space? It's just sort of like social media as well.
No, but it's not, because we know from like scientific tests from time immemorial that people that tend to lean right are more like analytical. They're more numbers people. People on the left tend to be more artistic. That's just how the fucking cookie crumbles.
That's how the cookie crumbles. But I just think Hollywood creates its narrative to us. We just make movies. We're telling stories and just love the game. But it's pretty shitty. I suspect. I've heard
Sure,
it from,
but to say Hollywood
not
is
from
pretty,
QAnon.
that's different. To say Hollywood is pretty shitty is a different statement than all of Hollywood is involved in peddling kids to fuck.
Okay, some of Hollywood is involved with peddling kids.
It's almost
to
like the
fuck.
Catholic
Is that
Church.
okay?
Well, okay, but again, the Catholic...
Some of the Catholic Church is involved with peddling
We
children
have
to fuck.
evidence that the Catholic Church peddles kids. What evidence do you have that Hollywood peddles kids? You have zero. That's the
Jackson.
thing. And QAnon has zero. Michael Jackson...
Corey Feldman.
Well, Michael Jackson fucked kids himself, so I don't see
Jeffrey Epstein.
But
Epstein, what does that have to do with Hollywood?
Well, there were Hollywood
see
people
it
who
as
went to his island.
the
Flew on his plane.
entertainment
Okay,
industry.
but name 5 for me, just
You
real
want me
quick.
to name you 5
Well, because you keep...
Hollywood people who have been on his plane?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you do this all the time where you have this narrative.
I have
and then,
no evidence, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't want to get it over my waiters.
I also have no evidence.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't feel like QAnon has very much strong evidence that they're just out there, which is fine. You can...
I don't think you have a lot of... Okay, listen. I don't want to have to back up QAnon here. I don't think you have a lot of evidence to disprove QAnon.
Okay, but see,
Whoa.
why is the onus? See, then the onus is this, Simon. How about this? Can you disprove that you're not a child predator? Like, you see what I'm saying here? It's a weird, but no,
That's
but where?
how it ends.
But where do we start? Right? Like, do we
Can
just
you, Simon?
do we just start where everyone? Do we just start where everyone is a child predator and you have to prove your innocence first, or
No.
do we just start where?
It's something about everything that glitters is not gold.
We find
and it's
out
so
about Bill
flashy.
Cosby. We find out about Harvey Weinstein. Like, there is this terrible underbelly to Hollywood. I don't know why you would
But hold on,
insist on fighting
Bill
it.
Cosby didn't. That had nothing to do with kids. So Bill Cosby was
Okay.
a rapist, yeah. But well, no, again,
Okay.
we're blurring
So
the lines
Harvey
here with like
Weinstein,
I have not.
directors. It's
Hold
a
on.
It
known.
only happens with
hey,
adults.
hey! It's a known fact in Hollywood that there are directors who take advantage of
Bryan
young
Singer.
girls.
Yeah, okay, I've admitted.
Trying
I've
to
sat
make
here
it into the
I've
industry.
sat here and said there are
So
terrible
there-
people in Hollywood.
Okay, so it happens a lot in Hollywood because there are a lot of times where these people are trying
There's
to break
powerful
into
people. That's what I've said.
Okay, so what?
So
what
that's
are we
why
arguing about here?
Because what I'm saying is the reason that it's not like used car salesmen don't have a huge harem of kids is because they're not powerful people, right? Like politicians, like you think Trump. So QAnon thinks that Trump is out there to save the world of child pedophiles, and you somewhat believe that, correct?
No, I just think Hollywood, without QAnon having theories about them, I think is worse than we know. Like there's kids shows. There's just too much, and the glitter is not all that's gold. It just speaks to me. Like, but I think Nashville is better than Hollywood. Does that make it?
I don't understand this.
I
He
like
did it
country
again.
music. I like country
He did it again. So like, I don't understand what we're arguing about now.
Okay, we're saying Hollywood. We're
So
saying
Nashville is
religion.
better than. So again, Trump
Maybe.
is better than Hillary Clinton is your argument just across the board. Whenever someone shits on
Well,
Trump,
do we think
and like
that-
right now, Nashville is your.
Okay, no, but I'm thinking like an alternative to Hollywood.
Trump has nothing to do with Hollywood.
I would. They hate Trump.
Yeah, I know that. What do we? Well,
Okay.
first of all, we
No,
don't. He's not
Matt.
because he's part of Hollywood, right?
Matt.
He had a reality TV show. Well, no, don't stop because what are we doing here, right? He was part of that machine, was he not?
Okay, fine.
It's more like whatever we're classifying Hollywood as.
Okay,
Say it's then the fashion industry.
sure.
So that's a comparable thing.
Well, fashion industry's full of terrible people.
I'm sure it is, but I bet you Hollywood's worse. I have no evidence. Or we'll say, could we say sports leagues? And there is like the Penn State thing, but I just think it's, if we're comparing these industries, then it doesn't
Okay,
have
again,
to
sports
have,
leagues take advantage of kids super hard. Maybe they're not raping them physically in the anus, but we
Yeah,
know that
I
sports
have-
take
I have
advantage
no
of kids.
evidence.
So
It just seems like,
But you see the problem there, Kamar, is like, so spreading these things without evidence is really the problem. That's the big problem we have in the world. Like, Simon, you keep saying that
There
you've
is
said
evidence,
this
though.
the last 3 weeks. You're like, I really like All Gas No Breaks because he shows both sides. He went to Proud Boys and he also went to Antifa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't go to an Antifa rally at any point in that video. Never. That video, he's only at a Proud Boys rally. You can watch it. It's 9 minutes long.
So it's another video where he's at an Antifa rally.
Okay, but you kept saying in that specific video,
No,
you're like,
I was just saying I watched 2 videos. One where he went to an Antifa rally and one where he went to a Proud Boys rally. That was it.
well, he didn't go to an Antifa rally. He went to a riot. And there's a big difference, isn't there? I'm just curious.
Antifa causes riots. It's the neighborhood.
Okay, I mean, tomato. He was at one place interviewing Antifa and he was at another place interviewing the Proud Boys.
Sure.
What's the fucking difference?
I'm just trying to think of something like, Drew Barrymore. Do you remember her?
What are we doing here?
But when she was 14, she was drinking, going to bars. Like,
When you were 14, you were drinking, going to bars. What are we
she
doing
was
here?
a lot
Not
young-
publicly,
She was a lot
like-
younger than that.
there's
She
just
was like 11.
I wish I had more concrete examples. I mean, I didn't even know this discussion was going to come up, but I definitely just feel Hollywood is sketchier than it appears. But I can't say compared to what or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what good it serves me, but I just don't trust it.
Yet you still go to movies. You still watch Netflix 10 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the phone. Maybe there's not a karma-free movie. But other than that, I don't think Trump did enough to validate Q. There had to be something happen, and you know
He could have easily gone after Ghislaine and Epstein in
Yeah.
a record time.
He fucked up, man.
Well, hey.
Obviously, that was never his intention.
I just want you to know I wish him well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you should.
And again, as someone that rubbed elbows with those people, he could have fought them back then. He could have done a plethora of things. My whole point is like, you can follow QAnon if you want. I don't think anyone should be silenced. I don't think they should be taken off the internet. I've said that a million times. I'm just saying, to sit here and be like, well, you got to give them some credence, I think is fucking super dangerous. Everyone's right 1% of the time.
No, but it's always the thing of like, the person you telling you this is always wrong about everything, and it always comes out. Now all these full of shit things just saying Q's
The
full of
fact
shit.
that they wanted to ban it so much just makes me wonder why they wanted
just
to
wonder. I don't want.
Everything they fucking do seems to have if it's good, they want to hide it from you. I'm not saying QAnon is good, but they went out of their way to silence these people. Why?
Yeah, I see. You're looking at me, so you don't to get a fight with you because that's exactly what I'm saying. So we're disagreeing. But I have no evidence. If I get some evidence, we'll move on, if we may. Mike Baker then talks about aliens. Or Joe talks about the aliens.
Forces him to talk about
Mumbles his way through the tic-tac. But he says there have been aliens here, so there hasn't.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Baker knows shit
It's the
about
Mike Baker
anything.
logic. Correct?
I think he's a fucking idiot, especially when it comes to aliens.
Do you feel like it's...
So here's my disconnect again, is it's like you just said, so if we're going to disbelieve everything Mike Baker says, then you're going to have to go on this one too. You can't just pick and choose here. Well, Mike Baker lies about everything, but aliens, I think this one he's on to something.
I just don't think he knows anything about anything. I think Joe asked him about aliens and he started making up his opinion on the spot. Because that's what type of guy he is. But the more and more
You
I
think he knows nothing?
the
But
more,
I'm curious, hold on, because you think the CIA is capable of all these things. This guy is CIA. He's they that you talk about. But you think he's a bumbling idiot.
He used to be they. I think
Hold on, you just said he's still they. What are we doing here?
This is the thing.
What are we doing here?
Do you think he has credibility, Matt?
I think he's the guy they stick out to fucking be the bumbling idiot. Because he is a bumbling idiot.
You think he has credibility?
No.
You think he has no credibility?
I don't think
What
I
is-
don't believe
what-
a lot of what he says.
What
Like, what is credibility in this? What are we talking about here?
this guy knows what he's talking about.
I don't think this guy is in a position to ever say anything honest or give
So we have to draw weird conclusions from everything he says.
Oh, that's why I don't like him being on the show, because I just believe that he's going to say whatever the company tells him
I
to say.
don't want to have to work so hard to figure out what somebody is talking about. You know what I mean?
And in this episode, Joe even made light of it. Like,
But hold on. Let's also keep in mind, why is he back talking about, like, Joe? Why would Joe even bring up JFK again?
No, exactly. They talked about it.
Yeah, you already know where this guy
have
stands.
nothing else
You're
to
not
talk
changing
about.
his opinion. You know what I mean? Like,
Let's talk about aliens for a sec, though. Okay. So the U.S. government comes out and admits that they've been watching unidentified flying objects for a long time. All that time they were telling you that they weren't. They were. There's ATIP. There's all sorts of departments that have been set up to do whatever. Why are they coming out and telling us this now? It coincides completely with
COVID?
with To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge, and the fact that, because the more and more I think about that, I'm like, it's just like if you were a terrible writer writing a CIA fucking story about a useless CIA agent who needed to find some like famous superstar to be the spokesman to tell a generation of youth that aliens are coming. Like,
Is he like the Leslie Nielsen of the CIA?
yes, exactly. Exactly.
I was thinking that Joe has him on to reinforce Joe's counterculture conspiracy side, to argue with the
Well, because
CIA
it
guy.
makes Joe look like he's really the other way.
No, he's still a conspiracy theorist. He hasn't walked back on everything. I'd be
I mean, don't
delighted if he revisited the moon landing.
Don't you think that you should question everything, Maddie?
No, that's yours. That's
No.
thing.
I'm asking you. Like, you just think that you're just okay, just whatever. They tell you this, it's said. You don't worry about it. You just take it. And that's
No, but to
okay?
say everything is ridiculous. There are certain things that I know to be true. You're gonna die. I'm gonna die. He's gonna die. The dog's gonna die. You can't question that. Can you?
No.
Well, I'm just asking.
I mean, I can. Yes.
Yep. X Factor.
fair enough.
No, I
Everything
just
could change.
It could change like within your lifetime, Matt. It couldn't change within people you know who are dead already. I agree to that. Those people are dead and they're gone.
That's a fact. Is a fact.
But in 5 years they could extend life by 100 years.
This is where I disagree. This is where I can say steadfast in this that we'll never get to that point where we're extending life indefinitely unless we're robots, and that's
I
it.
didn't say. I said 100 years.
Do you know the oldest man in Ottawa is? How old he is?
120 years old.
104.
104.
Still going.
The oldest person to ever live, I think, was 120.
Yeah. I bet that. I'm probably a little Asian woman. So
Okay,
that
but 120, like I don't. That's 40 years past what you're supposed to live. We're not talking about. I'm talking about you. That person died.
Yeah, and I'm talking about not
downloading
that you're-
personality
that you're
excluded.
living 20 years of your life
That's
as
not
an
living.
invalid.
Listen,
like these are life extension.
I'm just saying, I
years.
question a lot of stuff for sure, but to sit here and be like, do you absolutely question? I think you would waste your time to question absolutely everything. And that's why Joe stopped questioning everything.
But not when he gets to Mike
Joe
Baker.
isn't the end all be all. Of
I know he's not, but I also believe that it's a true waste of time to sit here and be like, there are certain things that just are.
There are
Yes.
many things that are worth questioning.
It is
That's not the question you
only
asked.
worth it to me to do it on this podcast. Like, I can't spend my days researching to find evidence for you. But I got to keep this going because I wanted to do the movie game. He thought Team America was a great movie, and it is a great movie. So that's where he's 1 for 1. He was spot on something.
That's what we're doing, Team America.
We are. And these guys are really the unsung heroes of the entertainment industry. I'd be mortified if I found out there was something shady going on over there. Cuties. That was a weird thing. Did you ever watch it?
What are you doing now? You're just pulling names out of your fucking hat?
Trying to
what
come
are you
with just
doing?
examples of shadiness in the entertainment industry.
Well, Cuties is like a fucking crazy example. Why don't you
I could also point out like a ton of right wing everyone that have done tons that are. I bet, and here's the worst part.
Mickey Mouse Club?
Let me give you another example too.
It's a great one.
I can at least say like my bigger problem is with fucking right-wing assholes that are constantly like, you can't go out and fuck prostitutes because it's wrong, and you can't do drugs because it's wrong, and then you find out that they're doing both those things. That is an even worse kind of person.
But if you found out that the entertainment industry has a tendency to exploit children, maybe not rape them, but exploitation,
Let me
work
ask-
them to the bone up to sexual assault or whatever.
Well, work them to the bone. There's so many child labor laws in Hollywood that it's unreal. The unions alone are so fucking strong. They won't let anyone work over 8 hours. Then let's talk about this. So let me ask you this. There's a kid on YouTube that opens up toys. Okay, his parents started the YouTube channel. He's like 8. He makes $40 million a month. Is he being exploited by YouTube?
I wonder if his parents love him, or it's like he's like, we'll find out if he
We
dies
took a weird
on a
turn
yacht.
here from sexual exploitation to like worker laws. You know what I mean?
It's a scale.
I guess.
Yeah, but you keep moving the scale back. Like it goes.
No, I just have nothing to compare it to.
No, I just mean we kind of flipped this conversation. We were talking about kids being like abused
Yeah, we were talking about
in Hollywood, not whether they're being like overworked.
I've opened the net bigger. One leads to the other. So I don't forget
Hold on. Okay.
It's
So
the gateway- it's the
overworking leads to sex for sure.
Overworking children is the gateway to sexual
it's true.
exploitation.
Thank you, Simon.
My
It's the
bad.
movie game.
Done deal.
Brought to you by no one right now. Simon and Matt are going to go head to head to find out the year a movie came out, the budget, and the box office gross. The movie this week is Team America. Directed by Trey Parker. Written by Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Pam Brady. Starring
did
Trey
everything
Parker,
already?
Matt Stone, Kristen Miller,
That's not how this works.
Masasa, Darren Norris, Phil Hendry. Wow, what a cast.
All right, Simon, go ahead. What year?
2002.
I said 2010.
The year's 2004. Right in between. Not really.
No.
But Simon's closer. Without going over. Did you guys know they're doing prices?
This is such a hard one. How do you know how much fucking puppets cost to make?
And how big was it? Even a Critics' Choice. Do you guys know that Price is Right is on at night now?
Drew Carey?
Drew Carey's the host, but it's Price is Right at night. And there's no audience. And the contestants are all like promoting a show or something. And they play for charity. And none of them know anything about prices. And they advertise that if you're watching at home, because none of the celebrities on the show are going to win the prizes, you get the prize.
Sounds fucking awful.
The Price is Right is only supposed to be on like 11 o'clock the day when you've skipped school.
Yeah. Go ahead, Simon.
I said it was 20 million to make and 92 million gross.
I said 26.4 and 115.6.
A little bit lower. Budget 32 million, box office 51 million. It did not make anywhere near the money you guys thought it did. But you were in the neighborhood for the budget. Take solace in that. And that's the movie game. Thank you. Hope you had fun playing at home.
Yeah, I was off.
So you don't care if you ever hear Mike Baker again? Unless
No,
he
he was on the list.
He had to break something.
What's he going to break? This guy doesn't do shit. He has a fucking TV show where he doesn't do shit. He comes on here and he doesn't do shit.
Is he sort of like, remember, I don't know if you guys are old enough, Geraldo Rivera?
What do you mean? We're
And
old enough. He's the same age as you.
Capone's Vault.
Yeah, of course.
But he was sort of-
like, it was supposed to ruin Geraldo.
He did, though, however.
Didn't they want to dig up Hoffa too?
That's in the, for me.
Yeah, they wanted to dig up the
the
50-yard
Irishman,
line of
that's
the New
in the
York
Bermuda
Giants.
Triangle territory.
Sorry, what?
The Bermuda Triangle's gone now.
Loch Ness Monster.
Loch Ness Monster gone
Bigfoot.
now.
Sorry, I
Bigfoot
just
lives
thought
on
we
in
were
some places.
naming mythical things.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. He started with Bermuda Triangle. I just thought we were playing a game.
No. I'm confused.
I'm confused.
I also am confused.
There's no reason to have Mike Baker on again.
Agreed.
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Bermuda Triangle.
Where's the Bermuda Triangle?
Hoffa
I know him.
has gone away as a thing.
Okay.
Capone's Vault,
Yeah.
the JFK footage.
Well, he brought out the JFK
Exactly.
footage, the film, the Zapruder film. But what are you saying?
Hold on. What
about
was the
Bermuda
exactly there? I don't
Triangle?
understand any of this. You just said the Bermuda
don't
Triangle.
go anywhere yet.
When we were kids, it was a thing.
Oh, and nobody's talking about
Nobody,
it anymore.
it's gone away.
Nothing
It's
gets
been
lost
solved.
in the Bermuda Triangle.
Hoffa, somehow by the Irishman, has been concluded. Elvis, it used to be Elvis was alive.
He still might be.
Mocha.
Yeah, but even then, for our generation, it was Tupac. But once we get older and we stop caring about whether Tupac's alive or not because he hasn't resurfaced, the kids don't care, and then it moves on.
That is one.
And the next generation won't give a fuck. Am I wrong?
I don't know. Or you need like, if you're talking about, let's say, the Loch Ness Monster, you need like a new sighting to reignite.
There was a story in the news last week.
You know?
Yeah, like a plane hasn't disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle for fucking how long?
Like example, and this will
Or did it even happen that much? Or was it just a couple
No,
stories?
it did happen.
Example, this will bring it full circle for you. Nobody gave a fuck about aliens for a really long time. And then all of a sudden, the Tic Tac video and then, the Go Fast video. And then next thing you know, the government is admitting to it. All of a sudden, it's a huge industry again. People are talking about it again. And it's relevant.
And I think it's different from a conspiracy. The conspiracy to withhold information.
The aliens. Well, this is what I wanted to talk about. So you know how Joe was saying that they wouldn't, or he was saying that they would watch us? Like
Observe us.
Observe us the same way we observe animals that
Butterflies.
are lesser than ourselves, whatever it is. And of course, Mike Baker didn't think that was true because Mike Baker's a fucking idiot. But it's like if it is like we're always looking at this very like scientifically, let's say, but if you look at it a little more like a federation, let's say, and we're not a member of that federation because we're not evolved enough to be on the board, they would be following a set of protocols. We make it seem like they're doing us a huge favor. They're not killing us. They're not hurting us most of the time. Like when people get abducted, maybe that's aliens breaking the rules. I don't know.
I think we may be thinking too small on this in that we think the pyramids are 10,000 years or whatever old.
30,000.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
We believe the only way you can exist is with governments and governance based on our
Limited 200-year span of
ability
existence.
of what to do. And that like, it's just your idea of federation is, you know what I mean? Maybe they don't need government. It's
No, but look, okay. If you were...
there's someone enforcing rules in the universe is what you're suggesting.
that's what I am suggesting, yes. I think they're...
And I think all our morals, everything we think is learned.
Mm-hmm.
And a different species may have a whole different...
No, you're...
You know what I mean? Like
I totally know what you mean, and you may be right, Kamar.
we put too much of our
Human
experience
emotion.
onto what aliens... I imagine if they're super tiny.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool in a cool movie. Just
Well,
for the
what if
special effects.
What if they're a brain and they're just using some sort of body as a vessel, the same way you may be?
Oh, so you're saying our brains are the alien?
Or
That's brilliant.
Maybe they're just consciousness, the same way your consciousness when you die. They're just harnessing it into a new form.
And we just
A
go
one that-
archaic. Our 10,000 years of development or whatever it is.
You also don't know. Maybe
Run that by me again. How many years
That's
of
what-
development?
That's what Jesus said. 1 million. Is it more than 1 million?
I think the planet Earth.
No, from shrew to now,
I think it's more than 1 million. Yes,
3 billion.
something like
The whole thing is 3 billion, but just
So 300 million. I don't know.
to the point that we can wonder if there's other species or animals or we can't define it in the universe.
You were saying we put too much of our own thing onto other things, right? Maybe our idea of evolution and creation and all of that is like that doesn't compute to beings that are born and are immediately adults and never die. Or do you see where I'm getting at?
Not saying we're wrong.
Huh?
About evolution.
Well, we might not be wrong for us, but it might have nothing to do with the way something else evolves.
But we know evolution scientifically as a death is a fact.
no. You just argued against
to
it.
satisfy that. No, I'm not arguing. I'm asking. We know evolution is what happened. And so we'd be foolish to assume that evolution happens. It's different. You know what I mean? I believe in evolution.
I believe that evolution is definitely a possibility.
And if you knew how long it took from shrew to us.
So you don't believe in evolution.
No, I do. I'm open to.
I don't want to get over my waiters here. But I'm asking, do we know that? That's one of the things we do know.
You're asking Matt to answer you there. Look at him when you're asking that.
I don't know what he's even asking.
He's asking you like evolution. Does it exist? We're sure of that one.
It's a
That's
theory
the
put out
end
there,
all,
but
be all.
do we know?
That's
Right
one of
now,
your
yes, that's
rules.
one that we're set on. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. And you don't know how long it was. I mean,
I'm not a fucking dude. I didn't even graduate high school, so no.
5
However,
million
Simon,
years.
if something comes along evidence-wise that presents something else, then of course I'll change my fucking why not?
Mocha
I have to.
motherfucker.
I'm just saying that right now, given what we know, that seems pretty straightforward.
And I believe it. And it's amazing. It's a miracle of.
And I'm not even going to bother offering you an opposite point of view.
Which would be like creationism or something.
No,
or
he wants
aliens
aliens
or something.
That's where he's going.
I don't believe that, but it is another option. I'm not taking it. I refuse to take
we
it
can't
off
take
the
anything
table.
off the table.
But that's just, if somebody believes that, they are insane.
I didn't say that.
Mike Baker believes.
Why? I don't think
in
you're insane.
aliens.
I just think it's a baseless. That's all it is. It's just a baseless idea. That's all. I don't think you're crazy for having it.
And we just go off what people have told us because we trust them to tell us the right thing. And unfortunately, we put our trust in people who are not trustworthy at all. And we know that they lie about a ton of shit, but we just take their word on history and archaeology. And no, I think I'd rather listen to the people on the fringe there who are offering ideas that are different and then trying to prove them. And if they can't come up with proof, that's fine. And we can just look at them as theories.
Are the three.
Well, right there. So if they can't come up with proof, then it's just a theory. But everyone else that has proof is just a fucking idiot who's not on the fringes. That's pretty much what you said. And everyone lies to us, and everyone in history has lied to us from the beginning of time.
I think there is a lot of shenanigans that go on the same way we know that the people who win the wars write the history. If they want you to think a certain way, it can happen. We could all be believing something wrong, and we just have for a really long time.
There are three choices. I'm submitting this. There is no space.
Okay.
There's aliens.
Okay.
There's aliens, and we've had interaction with them.
Those are the three choices.
What else is there? If there's a fourth, I think that.
There is no space.
Well, it's a flat Earth because you'd have to believe that too, because that's on the fringe and that's very believable from a fringe perspective. Why would you believe the Earth is round? It seems insane. We've been told that our whole lives.
There is no space and flat Earth. You can't have one without the other.
So it is a flat Earth with no space. That's your point. Okay, we had to add that in there.
I think that goes without saying. If you don't think there's space, you think the Earth is flat.
Did you take that from what he said when he said there's no space?
I didn't know that's what he was talking about.
I didn't
but
either.
That's okay. I no space meaning it's just a lie that there's even any outer space.
Of course.
And there's a firmament and there's nothing after that.
You can think that.
Okay.
If you don't think that, you have to think there's aliens. Something out there in the millions and millions of galaxies.
Well, you don't have to. The Fermi paradox, again, I mean, we've talked about this.
No one has to do
but
anything.
They are out there. They just haven't got here yet because it's too far a distance.
Sure, yeah.
Something out there exists.
Sure,
That's
yes,
what he's
of
saying.
course,
Or
yes.
they're already here. That's the
been-
third option.
I mean, in your consciousness of the thought.
Yeah, those are
And
the three options, yeah.
Yeah. And Mike Baker thinks they've been here. So they haven't been
I mean,
here.
the one we want to take
still
off.
Keep
the
in mind, too,
table-
hold on. Just because they've been here doesn't mean they've interfered in any way, shape, or form. We can also keep that on the table as well, right?
A
You have to keep that open.
Of course.
Total peaceful observer.
I just
Yeah.
mentioned that before.
Just coming here as oh, this is a place, we found it, there's something here, we'll come back and whenever.
The one we want to take off the table, snap right away, is that space doesn't exist, right? Because
For the most part.
we have with our own eyes, I'm going here, okay? I'm going with you. We have with our own eyes seen rocket ships breach the barrier of space and go to the moon and go places and, right? That's why we believe we can go to space.
because of TV and communications.
That's why we believe space exists, right?
Okay, forget that. I'll say this.
Telescopes and
I believe,
Satellites.
I believe,
Satellites,
I
yeah.
believe the Earth is round because of science, because science specifically can prove that the Earth is round. There's so many tests you can do that will prove the Earth is round. So,
Right. Okay. Let's back up though.
okay.
I also believe the Earth is round. Do you believe the Earth is round?
I do.
Okay.
You seem so reluctant. saying
I
it,
want
though.
it to be
So
flat.
let's
I
not-
want
Why?
it to,
But why?
Would that be the coolest
Just
thing,
wait,
man? If
wait.
we find out
I
it's
think so too.
It'd be cool. It'd be,
But wait, let's
Why
take
would that
this.
be-
Hold
okay.
on. We'll come back around.
you'd be
to it.
upset because we would lied to our whole life. It's exciting.
So
It's-
what? So
ahead.
what's in contention is not whether the Earth is round or flat. So stop with that, okay?
Well,
No. I'm playing along with Kamar, but he
Okay,
was
sure.
wrong in the definition he was giving you.
My bad.
We don't know what happens when you go into space. Okay, there are only a few people who have gone into space.
Correct.
So theoretically,
That's if you believe that.
if it's only 100 people who have ever gone into space,
Yep.
that's a secret that could be contained. Okay, I'm just playing devil's advocate here,
Sure.
okay? So I'm trying to figure out a way that we can conclusively say that they have taken a rocket ship and gone far enough into the sky that it's no longer sky and it's space.
And the camera's not enough for you.
I-
No, I'm just saying what the parameters are.
Like Simon, people that have broken the Earth's atmosphere and not like gone to the space station or to the moon, but I'm just talking about broken the atmosphere and then come back. It's probably way more than you think. As far as like fighter pilots, test pilots, that sort of thing. I'm just if we're gonna use that number, let's at least bump it up a couple hundred, right?
Okay, let's just. I don't want to have to do. I don't like having.
you
to do
need
this,
to be able to
Matt.
see the Earth from the moon.
You need to be able to
That's
see.
what you need. That's what you need for.
But you need
proof
it
of space.
yourself.
The problem is, here's the problem, Matt, is 10 days ago, I was like, no, we have pictures from the moon. And then I watched this thing and they're like, well, we don't really have a picture from the moon. We have a bunch of
Composites.
putting together a picture of the moon. And then I'm like,
Can I ask you guys a question?
why don't they have a picture from...
Well, first of all, film is okay. Film was forever what we used. When they went to the moon, when they landed on the moon, we used film, right? There was no digital photography at all, correct? It was actual. Well, no,
No, I know. Go, please, keep going.
Well, no, if you're going to just, you're already discounting
No,
what
I'm not. I'm just in my head, I can't wait. We're going to do this for sure as my first episode because it's right for the picking.
Fine. Okay. So at film back then, you couldn't even bring back from space, which they found out when they tried.
Yeah. You know that they lost all the video, right?
Yeah. But again, that's all the same shit. But why? But you see,
I
you
can't
laugh.
do this, Simon.
But
No,
see,
I can't. I can't.
It's such a weird thing seeing you laugh at that because you laugh at it oh, what a coincidence. First of all, they did. I can't do it. I can't do it
think
either.
it's
But I can't do it because he wouldn't go along with me and had a debate with me. And now, what was I debating? What
look,
facts was I debating?
They go to the moon. It's like the most important thing that's ever happened ever.
It's just the story of. I think it's happened. It's just the story of. Isn't.
I think they've been to the
everything.
moon since then.
No, please keep going with your.
You don't have to. I
don't
want to
even
ask you guys
remember
both.
where I
I
was
want
going.
to ask you guys both a question. Did you call Matt at all this week to tell him the moon had moved?
It's funny. I looked up one night and I was like, okay, the moon's not in the sky. I'm going to phone him. And then I was like, no, don't be stupid. Wait a little bit. See what happens. And it was just too early. The moon hadn't even rose up yet. No, it's been there the whole time.
No phone call.
Listen,
Are you waiting for it?
I really want to phone him and tell him the moon's not there. Dude, I don't want the moon to disappear. It's a mystery.
It'd be really more exciting if you would call Matt and Matt looked out. And
Yeah, I know. It's like, look, it would be more exciting if when the UFO came and abducted the guy, he got fucking footage of it.
my problem is I can see too much of the moon. That's what I feel like. Do you know what I mean? Don't you feel like you can almost see craters sometimes?
But wait, sorry, I didn't get to my thing. You don't think that's weird? Just because I'm with you. I was with you. I was right where you are. But you don't think it's weird? They go into space. It's the most important thing that's ever been done. We need to have this information.
Hold on. Have they been before?
Have they been
Well,
ever?
you're asking. They're going up to space. It's the biggest thing ever. So they've never done this before, right?
Right.
Like when you first climb Everest.
No. But so then they get back.
Yeah.
They get back here. They
Yeah.
have the footage.
Okay.
But then the footage disappears. Somebody loses it. That's what I'm saying. It's so important. Everything that comes back from that mission is the holy grail of everything. It's what they worked to get up there is to get the info. And then it's like, oh, sorry. Things like that are like, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I guess
swaying you back.
I guess you can just say, oh no, that's just what happens. But
So your argument is that they had footage that made it back intact, perfectly good, and then they lost.
Yeah.
That's your argument.
or
No,
they
that's the
never
story.
had
That's the story.
footage in the first. I don't know what the story is,
Well,
man.
the story as
Oh,
it were.
the going.
Because listen, when you
yes.
fly right now, when you fly right now, when you go through the X-ray machine, there's huge warnings everywhere that says if you have camera film of any value, you need to do something with it because the X-ray machine will 100% destroy everything you have across the board. That's what it does. X-ray will do that. So
and film also deteriorates.
Sorry, I was under the impression, I could be wrong here, that it wasn't a compromised film.
okay, so
issue.
that's okay. So that's a different story.
It's
Then
a
if
somebody
if someone
lost
lost it, then
a
that's
real
fine.
issue.
But it was like under the impression that there was a moving of
a box.
something from somewhere else. and
I have
stuff
heard many
got lost.
times that they had compromised footage every time they came back.
It's all good. Let's not waste this because I'm going to do this. So
Do you
you'll
think
be
some-
there.
No, I'm leaving the card and you guys are hitting the button and you're dropping the fucking shit off to me. I absolutely will not be here. I can promise you of that.
Jesus.
Do
Yeah,
you,
you see,
do you
keep
think
your eyes
sometimes you
open.
can see too much of the moon?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
The surface and stuff.
Like it's too big?
No,
No,
Kumar,
it's so far away that you can even see it.
I think you're forgetting that those craters that you're seeing are absolutely massive.
Well, no.
And the reason you're seeing is because there's nothing there. Like
And the reflection of the sun.
it's black and white. Yeah. You can see the Great Wall from space only because of its pure size.
And yet, Kamar, when you're looking at a star in the sky, you're seeing something that died 100,000 years ago.
And it's a sign of a pin.
Yes. I feel like
and the
he
moon I
thought he
can
just
see.
blew your mind or something like.
I
and it's
was
the
trying to
sign-
blow his
Wow,
mind.
I
He didn't
know.
even listen to
But
what
you
I
said it last week. That's why.
Well, he didn't get it last week either.
I apologize. I think he got it last
that was
week.
a double blow your mind.
Like if the moon, I'm trying to be with you here. The moon is right there, and we can see it super clearly. And yet
Sometimes.
the star that you're seeing is actually 100,000 lifetimes ago.
And 5 million times bigger than our sun.
So you're having trouble wrapping your head around that one? Is that it? I don't get
Oh,
it.
that one I'm done. Dude, every time, Maddie,
Yeah.
every time you and I we're here
Yeah.
in the now.
Yeah.
The only place we can be, the now. And yet you look up into the sky and you are looking into the past. That isn't amazing. We are living in two different planes at the same time. It's amazing. It's that,
Schrodinger's cat.
no, I'm telling you, that's the part. Like, yes, that's either totally amazing or what the fuck.
Did you just say Schrodinger's cat?
Yeah, I
you even
don't
know
think
what that
that's
is?
right. Yeah, that's if it's alive or
It's
dead.
a fallacy. But it's alive and dead at the same
You
time.
don't know.
The
The only way
experiment
you
never
know
happened.
is if you
Somebody
open the
is
box.
watching it. You need the viewer to.
Yeah.
Well, that could be everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm talking about at all.
Oh, well.
At all.
Well, that's where you went wrong.
I guess.
Are we done with Mike Baker?
Did last week I talk about when the star exploded and they watched the star exploding?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, because that's crazy, man. And they were watching this event that happened.
Were they?
Well, I don't know if they were.
It's
or not.
amazing.
Maybe they were lying to you.
It was
Well,
one.
Matt, if space doesn't exist, then they were absolutely lying.
That
to
was
you.
one thing I
And
forgot
that's
to mention.
just a computer screen that's running. And that's why, Matt, when the fucking Big Dipper went over there was a glitch in the program and it ended up in the wrong.
I mean, listen, if I think we're
Position.
living in a fucking simulation, can't really
And
say
that's
shit.
what I was going to ask you. You don't like when I point at you. Sorry. That's
Why?
what
Because the simulation would be based in a reality.
But why?
But why?
No, I'm just saying, if you believe in a simulation,
Yeah.
just, okay, if it's a simulation,
Well, you choose again, Simon. It's like so. There's three of us.
you're believing in a certain simulation.
Well, again,
but you won't
just
leave
here-
anything open for other simulations.
Well, sure, but hear me out. In this one, it would appear that we're based in some sort of reality that someone created. That's how it has to be. Maybe Kamar created it. Maybe you created it. Maybe I created it. Maybe you're not creating it based on the world at all. Maybe this is all just a joke.
If I created it, I'm the humblest person in my world.
Yes, because you've
Because
given
I'm
yourself
giving
this.
them nothing. I'm
Not
just
really.
I'm
You're
just a servant. I'm
That's
just a
bullshit.
peasant.
You're the 1% in the world.
So let me get this straight. You believe that we're in a simulation.
I don't strongly believe it. I'm not out there preaching it. I don't believe it like you believe stuff.
You don't believe it like I believe stuff. Okay.
Like if someone at a dinner party was like, we're not in a simulation, I would just go, probably not. And that's the conversation ends right there. It's not even a talking point for me. Like you and I have had it out about it a little bit, and you're probably the only one and that's it.
You just don't care.
I truly don't. Because if we are, like I said to you,
you're just focusing on the here and now, and
I can only control what I can control.
I'm not asking you what you can control.
No, but
just because you can't control something doesn't mean you can't be interested in it.
You can only know what you can know.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Simon, is if I'm in this and I'm stuck in this and there's no plausible way out, then like any game I play, here I am. Playing it poorly, might I add, but at least fucking trying. So
yeah,
I said to you, if you found out tomorrow we were in a simulation, you wouldn't stop loving your wife. You wouldn't stop caring for your kids.
I would just keep going.
That's what I'm saying.
But Matt, there would be things that would change. Because now that I knew that I was living in some sort of simulation, I would start to wonder about the rules of said simulation.
Oh.
But let's keep in mind, okay, so just bear with me. This is what I was trying to get to is like you could create a simulation, he could create a simulation, and like in video games, you could create a world like Grand Theft Auto that's just pure chaos that doesn't even matter, right? Like everything's expendable, kind of like this world, I guess. He could create a world where everything's perfect, where everything is hunky-dory, and we see how that rolls. And maybe I could sit here and say, okay, since I'm creating this world, I do live in a world, because there has to be a world somewhere, right? If we're in a simulation, there has to be something somewhere, right?
Like a real world?
Well, yes. But a base reality, right? Like we hear Elon talk about. So, right, there'd have to be somewhere where someone is creating the simulation. So I'm in that world. Maybe I just try to create a simulation exactly like that world. And like I said, maybe I change one or two small things, like just to see, maybe, because like I said, if you're running a billion things simultaneously, you could change one small thing just in the smallest place and see what happens to humanity, mankind. I don't know. Maybe it always ends in a meteor. Maybe it always ends in aliens like you want. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe,
like I said,
once you get into space, you beat the program.
Sure. Like I said too, maybe, Simon.
But you're saying sure, but you don't think sure. You know what I mean? That's my problem.
Well, what do you mean? But why do you think it's beating the program? That's my problem, is you look at it too much like a game, whereas a simulation, just like a real simulation would go on in the simulation, it would feel like it would go on infinite, right? Like,
yeah, okay. Yes, I agree with absolutely everything you're saying. I'm not arguing you the basis of a simulation. What I'm arguing with you is like, because you're saying that we live in a simulation, or you think that we could live in a simulation, then pretty much anything is possible, right? Are we agreed to that? In that simulation, Bigfoot could exist because somebody has made that
simulation has rules.
yeah, but again, see,
Laws.
That's what I'm saying is your simulation has no rules. Anything is possible. Whereas but bear with me here, Simon. I'm saying in my simulation, gravity is a rule that we live by. Now, again, you're like, well, what
There's
about black
physics
holes
to the simulation?
Sure, anything.
But we know that there are people who can levitate. So what do you make of that?
Well, how do we know? We know there's people that can levitate. Like,
no, okay. Again, bad example, but there are plenty of things that are rules in your simulation that clearly some people have beaten. You know what I mean? So unless that's a glitch in the simulation, what do we do?
well, but there you go. You said it. Like anything. So it has to be a computer program, right? Because that's how we run simulations. Everything has problems. Everything has glitches. That's actually that's what people say about the simulation. They're like, it would explain all the unexplained phenomenon.
To me, though, that if it's a glitch in the program, it means that there's room for an exploitation.
But maybe that's how you would explain a Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Fine.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, again, if Simon, you could also argue that maybe in the future there's nothing left, and maybe there's just one AI that we've created, the X factor that Kamar keeps talking about, and maybe it misses us. Maybe it's like this: I miss my creator,
and it only has enough memory, so you have to die.
Well, no. So all it's doing is running infinite simulations, trying to figure out how to get us back.
Yeah, no,
how did it start?
Totally, that's definitely a possibility. What if it's like? Keep
in mind, anything you're about to say, yes, it could be that.
No,
Well, then
but
that-
it's not. Okay, so if it's a simulation, then anything is kind of possible because there are rules that can be broken inside that simulation.
Don't think about it that way. You wouldn't build a simulation where you would be like, you can break these rules. You would build a simulation without that rule. If you wanted people
Anything
to fly,
is possible.
If you wanted, but Simon, this is what I'm saying is like, if you're creating your simulation where you want everyone to fly, then you just take away that barrier. You all of a sudden say everyone can fly. It's not, well, I'm going to create an exploit where some people can fly.
So the answer to how people can do amazing things is just, well, that's just written into the simulation.
Well, no, but I mean, well, sure, it could be. Why not?
That's just the same cop out as anything else, you know.
He just doesn't.
And I'm not angry at you for it. But
Well, you
it's
can't
the
because
same
I'm not
thing
even-
You get angry
you
at
resent
me
him
for
for his
you
lack
know?
of curiosity. That's what I think it is.
I resent you all for your lack of curiosity.
Yeah, okay. Then we got it out. The only way we're going to get a definitive answer about the simulation is if Joe has Mike Baker back on and asks about it. So we
No,
get to the
because you
bottom
know
of
we'll
this.
have him back on.
Jesus Christ.
He'll be back on.
And whatever he says,
110%.
we just take the opposite and we know it to be true.
That's it, baby.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. I find you're very open to this simulation idea, and I love that. But
hold
you're
on.
totally closed off to anything that doesn't involve it being a simulation. If it's not a simulation, then it's just
Well, because Simon, I unfortunately live in this reality. Okay, that's it. So I don't think. Do I really believe we're living in a simulation?
I don't know. Do you?
Well, no, I just told you. Like, it's not something that I live by, and I'm like all day, like, oh man, how do I get out of this? I'm not Neo trying to.
No, but we all agreed that if it was a simulation, nothing changes, right? You relive your life the same way.
Yeah.
So what do you believe? Do you believe we live in a simulation, or do you believe we don't?
I believe
live in a
we most
simulation?
likely live in a simulation. Sure.
Okay, so there you go. So at least we know that now. That
Sure.
you believe that we're
Yes.
living in a simulation.
Sure.
Whoa.
We're there. We're halfway there, man.
So that's what it is. No space. Aliens with us. Simulation.
Why the simulation still offers all three of those possibilities?
and so many more. Because it's the simulation.
Wow.
No, but that's what I'm. See, Simon, this is where you're.
No,
But
the
this is where you're.
simulation turns into a
No,
million
this
Earth
is where
series.
you're getting hung up. Is you're getting hung up in like, well, the simulation you can just do anything. That's not my fucking. That's not at all what I'm
Especially
saying.
If there are so many simulations, then there are going to be one where
Yeah, but we're in this
Bigfoot
one.
exists. Well, maybe this is the one where Bigfoot exists.
Fine.
Holy shit.
Yeah. You want it, you can have it.
I do want it. Thank you.
That's the
Kumar.
simulation.
This whole thing. How many episodes
problem-
are we
my
on now?
problem, Simon,
this
is-
is all to get Matt
my-
to agree
no.
that Bigfoot exists.
My problem is that you just care about things with like the most baseless of shit. That's it. You don't care about any evidence most of the time. You would really just want to go on conjecture.
You guys would have nothing to talk about if this wasn't the case, though.
We don't have anything to talk about.
I know, and that's why you're doing this right now. I wanted. Do we talk about the Mulaney and the body double
A couple of times.
and how Mike Baker said, well, the CIA has worked with Hollywood on a number of operations.
Yeah.
So they haven't worked with Hollywood?
They've definitely worked with Hollywood. We know that
Well,
for
no,
a
but
fact.
he's going off his Mike. Everything Mike Baker says is not true.
Oh, I don't know, man. It's a good thing they didn't talk about Winds of Change, I guess.
That's all I need.
Because if he said Winds of Change was for real, it happened,
Yeah.
what would I do with my life?
So he says, Joe, before I go,
But he can bring that up because it's like out there in the lexicon, right? So he'd be fine bringing it up. It's not like a hidden.
I don't understand what he's even talking about with Mike Baker. I'm just trying to play along with
no,
this stupid little game.
Mike Baker in the show goes, oh, yeah, and Joe, this one thing, it was a song, some band. Was it I believe it was a German band, some rock band. Apparently,
Beatles?
There's something
No.
going on about
The
them.
Ladybugs?
They wrote a song that helped bring down the wall. But I mean, it's just
Don't worry about it.
a small department. You'd lose your shit.
Dude, if Joe one day had somebody on, if the guy from that podcast on, that might be 5. That might be the 5
Well,
episode
No,
we've all
you will
been
not
waiting
give out a
for.
5.
It would be nice.
Short of a gray alien sitting across from Joe.
It'd be cool if Joe got wind of that podcast. I think that's the only way, and that could open up a whole investigation if somehow that gets to his attention.
It sounds like something he'd be really into.
And something that Mike would
Baker
know a lot
would
about.
definitely deny that fucking shill.
Well, we gave him everything we had.
And
That's-
way more.
That's the end of my
Fuck
notes.
this guy. This should have been 10 minutes. That was an hour and 9 minutes we gave to Mike Baker.
Yeah, but most of it was just us trying to get to the bottom of what Maddie believes in.
The truth.
I don't believe in shit. I think we know that. How in 106 episodes have you not gotten to I don't believe in fucking anything?
We're here for the truth.
No, I can promise you we're not here for that.
You can't handle the truth.
So unfortunately,
You probably can't. No.
we got to rate it.
1.
I liked at the end where Joe says, you don't believe in it. He just called him out. I give it 3.
No, don't let the
Truth
door hit
be
you on the way
spoken.
out, Mike Baker.
Truth be spoken.
No, I like Joe in this episode. He was making fun of Mike Baker for being a bumbling buffoon. And,
Babbling. Mike Baker.
The worst part,
Rambling man.
let me say this, because none of us have mentioned it. The absolute worst part about Mike Baker appearances is that he thinks he's funny.
Oh, yes. Simon thinks he's hilarious.
No, I just trying to think of a time where he made a joke.
But that's
every
the point.
5 seconds.
You're welcome. But ta-da. No, like he literally, everything he says, he thinks is funny, and you can tell has like he waits for Joe to laugh, and Joe's like, okay, moving on.
It's because he has like a built-in audience at home with Scooter,
dude.
Pooper, and
Libby, Scooter, and
He
MacGyver.
may be a captain of the obvious.
Yes.
Or not.
That's like a Freemason. A different society. The captains of the obvious.
Why do you think Freemasons are captain of the obvious?
No, Freemasons are Freemasons. Captain of the obvious are captain of the obvious.
I've had a really hard time following you this episode, this Mike Baker episode.
It's just he's not funny.
I'm with you there. I'll meet you there 100% of the time. He is
Again,
not
we just
funny.
went like,
No, I'm saying captain of the obvious is a own secret society. Jokingly. There's hundreds of captains of the obvious, whatever that means.
You're not doing yourself any favor.
And there's hundreds of Freemasons.
Only hundreds.
I don't know. I don't know the number.
so
Of
sorry, are we counting people now? Like what's going on here? Captains of the obvious, is that like a literal faction of, is that a group that I don't know about?
No.
Capitans of the obvious.
I made it up. Just like the chess movie.
Just like the chest. Now I'm enraged.
Enraged?
Deranged, yeah.
Are we done?
Done.
Perfect.
That's it, so.
Follow us places. Have a good week.
Did we rate it?
Yeah, you 1, and a 3.
I gave it a 3. And thank you for listening. I always forget to thank new listeners. You know,
we
old
don't thank
listeners.
new listeners. What do you
But
mean?
well, you know, they say, hey, welcome.
Oh, yeah. If you're new here,
Hey.
Picked a banger week.
Thanks for joining us.
that being said, there is a Reddit. It's reddit.com/JREE podcast. There's also an Instagram and a Twitter. They're JREE podcast. You can follow Kamar on Instagram.
It's
and
on
Twitter.
fire at Kamar Babar.
There's a YouTube, youtube.com/JREE podcast.
Hit that subscribe button.
If you're using the search bar, you have to, it's weird. You have to put the space. I don't know why I did that. Poor move on my part. JREE space podcast.
And you have to
Fucking
because we
moron.
are being shadow banned.
And the Patreon, patreon.com/JREE podcast. If you want to get the post show, you can join for as little as $5 a month. You'll also get 3 or 4 episodes of This One Age Old, the series where we go back, we listen to old episodes, and we do what we do here.
This post show is going to be nuts.
And also some new stuff coming this month.
That'll be nuts. I'm really looking forward to that.
Big balls.
But the only way to fight back the shadow banning is to tell another human being. Seriously, though. Like,
Word of mouth,
there's-
yeah.
That's the
Absolutely.
only way.
That's number one.
It's not money. It's not nothing. The only way to fight shadow banning is word of mouth.
Thank you for listening.
We're not shadow banned. Have a good weekend.
Keep your eyes open.